Happy Tuesday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thank you so very much for making us part of your day. It's another blistering day in Mesa, Arizona, where I fully expect to have SWAS for days, and God bless America, I guess, right? Hey,
Oh,
Jennifer.
what for days?
SWAS,
What the hell is SWAS?
sweaty ass.
Oh, got it. That was a new one for me. I
Really?
wasn't familiar. I yeah,
Okay.
I hadn't heard that one before. That was a
Is
new
that
one for me.
is that new? Yes, or swamp ass? I guess it could be swamp
I mean,
ass.
I've heard
Yeah.
swamp ass. Yeah, that's not
Dealer's
new, but
choice.
yeah.
When's the last time I
Yeah,
had fry
well,
bread? I haven't had fry bread in a long time. If any of you don't know what fry bread is, it is a scone. Well, maybe different types of scones. I guess we called it a scone, but it's not a scone. Never mind. It's fry bread. Is RTP Networks hiring? We are not. We are not hiring. Thank you guys, by the way, for being patient with me last week and on Monday. We had a haboob get in, come rolling through Sunday, so my flight was delayed, which screwed up um, a bunch of stuff for me. And I wound up, because of that delay, thought I was going to be late trying to get my daughter to her mom. Then she wound up sick. So we just had to cancel Monday. It was a combination of factors that I wish I didn't have to deal with, but I do have to deal with. And I think maybe someday we'll talk about it. I don't know when that is. I do want to say, like, there's been some comments on YouTube. I know there's some in Facebook, or not Facebook, excuse me, Discord, about my reliability, and I appreciate that. And it can be frustrating. I would be frustrated on the other end of that if this was something that I counted on every day. Um, Let me just say this for the record. This has been unequivocally the most difficult year of my life. It's not even fucking close. The things that I talk about on this stream, and again, maybe at some point when all the legalese are done, perhaps I will talk about it. Um, the greatest risk to you or to your children is a white Christian conservative man. And the greatest gift to my child is a white, or greatest threat to my child is a specific white Christian conservative man. And that's what I'm dealing with. Again, I know there is this like parasocial relationship here, and I'm pretty careful about my quiet life or private life, excuse me, quiet about my private life. I do that for a reason. I don't particularly care about people knowing what I'm doing, but there are people that I love who I don't want to be affected. That's why I don't post in my own name. I don't have my own personal social medias. I don't post anything about my daughter. What I will say, just for those of you who are here, sorry, as a father, as a parent, the especially when you are not with your kids' other parent, can be extremely frustrating and disheartening and scary to have your child be around somebody who is dangerous. And so that's where I've been. When I am going to court, that's what I'm doing. I'm fighting for my daughter, and it fucking sucks. And it is so ironic that what wound up being the biggest danger to my daughter is exactly what I talk about each and every day, and something that I never thought I would have to worry about because I didn't think that the person I married would wind up with a white Christian conservative man. And now let me tell you this. At some point, I might make it public. And at some point, if it is public, I may name names. I may use my platform to take care of this problem. This person is a government employee. This person is protected regularly by bureaucracy and by union representatives who demand all sorts of proof that somebody is a danger, despite overwhelming proof that somebody is a danger. I may name names and I may say to you, go ahead, contact their employer. That day may come. I'm not really afraid of that. I just am trying not to blow shit up before all of our court shit is done. But but yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. So I know I don't owe you an explanation. Um, Jesus, how did that happen? I know that you know I don't owe you an explanation. But I do appreciate the support that I get from you guys. I know that we're crowdfunded, and I did just want to tell you that that's what I'm dealing with. So I hate missing days. I hate it. It's cost me an absolute fortune. It's bled me dry, like almost dry. And then we don't have shows. And of course, we got Jen on the other side here, where I'm trying to make this work for her as well. And so I appreciate your concern, and I understand the frustration. And I hope that in the near future, this stuff is taken care of. Uh, but in the meantime, there's other humans in this world, including yourselves, and there's other things to cover, and the show does go on, and the world does go on, and news does go on, and I too will go on. And I get a little sensitive and emotional from time to time, and that was my emotional moment for today. We'll get back into the news, but I appreciate the well wishes. I appreciate those of you in the comments who are saying that you're with me. It does mean a lot. I appreciate that. It can feel lonely, and like I said, at some point, I will give you guys more details, uh, because I think it's a cautionary tale, and we'll leave it at that. So thank you guys. Let's go ahead and maybe get things started. Jen, do you have any updates on your life? You want to follow
Um,
that up?
sure. I mean, there. You say it way nicer than I do. There's a couple people specifically that you can eat an entire bag of dicks, and I'm pretty sure you know who you are. Some of the entitlement is wild as shit. So yeah. So there's that. That's my thought on it. I'll say it a little less nicely. Um, so yeah. But besides that, I think we figured out a with Duke. I mean, we've got kind of a rotation. We see each other twice a week, possibly more um, uh, if the
If you get
chance
horny,
spawns. Unfortunately, that's not even the
never
case.
mind. God damn it.
I can't even do that because
Never
spawns around
mind.
energy would make it weird. So, um, not even then. So, but yeah. So I mean, we'll see each other on on Wednesday. That's the plan, and then go from there.
All right.
So yeah, that's about it.
How's the pregnancy coming along? All's good.
You are so ridiculous with that.
I just want to know. I just want to be supportive, Jennifer.
I'm so pro-choice, it's not even funny.
And you made
So
a
there's
choice to
that.
to keep that baby.
No,
Bring it into the
no.
RTP family.
Spawn will be pissed. Will
Oh
be pissed
shit.
at you. No, she can't hear. She's at school. She's not hearing this. But if that was a thing, she would be mad because that's one of the things um, that she's pretty insistent on not being not happening.
Do
So
you tell her my body, my choice?
I mean, she knows I'm pro-choice. So there's that. I have told her if that somehow happened, it wouldn't
It would
continue to be
stop
a thing.
happening.
It would very much so stop happening. But
Uh, I'm
but
consistently
we can.
reminded of that from my girlfriend that there's no shot of me baby trapping her, which is devastating considering if you're dating me at some point you're probably going to want to get out of that. So it's tough
Right,
gig.
right. So yeah, so we can get going with the show and all that kind of good stuff. So you said the nice stuff, I said the mean stuff. It's kind of our routine.
Kind of what we
So
do.
welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. We're gonna get started. We were like pretty close to on time today. I think maybe a minute late. Good.
Like
Eight
two
out
or
of
three.
5.
Yeah,
I mean, that's if we're better than 5. If it's before 5 minutes, I feel like that's early.
I agree. Very early, honestly.
So there's that. I'm working on with my timeliness in real life. Like here I'm on time, but in real life I'm easily 10 minutes behind on things. So
Yeah.
but so yeah. Anyways, so welcome. like you mentioned earlier, we are crowdfunded, so that we can keep doing this. We have received accept Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that good towards what? What are you laughing at now? I saw Illusion's thing and I'm ignoring it.
It's not what it is. Go
Which one?
down it. That's soup for my fam. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I was muted. I'm so sorry. Quick
Oh,
question for the
oh,
chat. Prizaza, is she
oh.
Iranian? She was on a live claiming she was and had family in Iran. When she was catfishing me, she was Jewish and Italian, so I don't know. I'm sorry.
She's like a chameleon catfish. So
Yeah.
there's that. Anyway, there's old lore for there. If you guys are new, there's a whole story with that. Anyways, so yeah, give gold, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all good towards locking that out. We prefer the pay links because it takes less from us. But anything is accepted, all is appreciated. If you're not subscribed to us or a paid member wherever you're watching, you should become one so you can join us for members only events. We have one coming out this Wednesday. So if you're not currently a member or subscriber, do that and you can join us for that event on Wednesday. If you disagree with RTP and would like to come up and have a conversation, you can do that by sending me a message on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, double 2 B's, the number 1. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. So Spawn came to me the other night saying she couldn't sleep.
Oh,
There are monsters under her bed.
terrifying.
So I went and looked and I found 2 monsters under her bed. And I told her, well, it's no wonder she couldn't sleep. Those have a lot of caffeine in them.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's horrific. I think that's the worst one. I think it's the worst one we've ever had. Where's the
No, it's
tomatoes?
not. There's been some that are way worse. That one was funny.
I just feel like my mom would have told me that joke, and she doesn't have a lot of. She has
Then your
one
mom is
joke.
cool.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
mom?
The mother that raised me.
That's not nice. So
She's just not a jokester. She's not really like a.
Well, I thought it was funny. So
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry that. I'm sure other people thought it was funny. I'm not the arbiter of funny. Illusion said, "Life since Catfisher has been a breeze, eh, pal? Fuck you." It's not funny. It's pretty funny. Betsy said to help with whatever needs helping. Thank you. Lindsay said for being a great dad. Thanks. Doing my best. And Robert said snacks for the Jed York intervention. I honestly didn't know about that. My friend texted me this morning and said you can't be a 49ers fan anymore. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't. Apparently, Jed York hired a sex worker, and I reminded him that because I am a shit lib, as he likes to call me, I'm pro sex work, so that I have to then be a bigger fan. So my Niners fanhood struggles because of Nick Bosa far more than Jed York, but Jed York does suck. So thank you for reminding me of that. I appreciate you. I got those. All right, let's kick things off. I was scrolling through. You know what? Actually, somebody sent this to me. I think this was a German mom sent this to me on Discord. Let me pull this up here, and so I'm going to share it. Hopefully, it's not. Hopefully, there's no copyright on it. I don't think there is. Let me pause this real quick. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, I hope you enjoy it. Just a nice musical number to kick things off.
I was gonna stage a coup in an upcoming election. What exactly would I do to safeguard my protection? I think I'd build myself a great big room with some strategic placement, and I'd put guided missiles on the roof and data centers in the basement. And in case they try to send the troops when I perform my little coup, I'd need a private army to be present when I stage it. But from there it's not too difficult, so let's not overcomplicate it. I'll just need a couple working years of solid degradation, and I'll see how far my party goes along before they question. I'd see how many citizens can die with no arrests, and I'd stress test the balances and the checks of the Constitution before I stage my little insiders only revolution. And if I was gonna stage a coup in 2028, I think I'd set up a crypto coin through my family's estate, and I'd take billions in contributions from foreign heads of state. I'd take Qatari jets and make 3,000 insider trades, and then I'd have my sons invest in AI tech for guided drones and bomb, and start a peace in the Middle East, and let the drones start data farming. And if I was gonna stage a coup, I'd nationalize elections, and I'd tell the people that I'm doing all of this for their own protection. And I wouldn't leave the White House once the final ballot's cast, and when the election has been certified, I'd sit my happy ass inside my brand new spanking ballroom, built to withstand any strike. And I'd have my private army ready with me day and night, and I'd call the Congress compromised. I'd say the court's been jeopardized, and once the country's paralyzed, I'd institute the Reich. Well, if I was gonna stage a coup to satisfy my ego, I guess I'd dress up like Jesus Christ and try to play the hero. And I'd tell the world to be afraid of all their friends and neighbors, and just like Jesus taught us, I would punish those who waver. And if I was gonna stage a coup, I'd prop up J.D. Vance, and once his campaign starts to lose, that's when I'd have my chance. I'd say the system has been rigged, now it's time that we get rid of everything that I have been harmful to the truth. So say goodbye to the fake news outlets, adios to those who doubt it, sayonara to the green card scammers, au revoir to the foreign landers, chop the head off of Bernie Sanders, AOC and Biden's handlers. No more US as we know it, no more news or whistle blowing. Goodbye years of rigged elections, goodbye human rights protections, goodbye anyone who questions golden statues I've erected. Billionaires will all be smitten, all the while I'll just be sitting back to reaping all the profit and silence those who try to stop it. If I was gonna stage a coup to show the world how great I am, these are the things that I would do, my 2028 election plan. Well,
I love what you just said there, Oslo. Real country is exactly like this. Johnny Cash was rebel punk rock. Yeah, that's kind of what it like. It is remarkable that this many country artists, country fans are like, we're all for tax cuts for billionaires. Fuck ourselves. Just let's get the money to the billionaires. It's crazy that those people they used to like talk, they sing about a simple life, they sing about simple pleasures, and then they go out and vote for a billionaire to have a trip to space because they want to. That was a really good point, Oslo. I didn't even think about that. Inspired Designs, thank you, Big W for Inspired Designs. Sent $100 over on PayPal, and sorry guys in advance. Like I'm a big baby. I cry all the time, and you guys are being sweet, and that might happen today. So thank you. Said you have more supporters than not. Keep your head up and keep fighting. We got your back. Oh, and love you, Jen. Love German Mom, who also sent that video. So thank you, German Mom. Asa Sophia said, been an avid listener and supporter of the show. I just want to say, we RTV fam always support you and Jen. You two are the funniest duo here. I just can't go on a day without you guys. I hope you, Jay, feel that love that we have for you, even though you don't know us. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very generous, both German Mom and Asa Sophia. Thank you, guys. All right. How about this segue? You guys remember that Pete Hegseth has a pastor? His name's Doug Wilson. He lives up in Idaho. I think he's in like Coeur d'Alene or Sandpoint. I believe Coeur d'Alene. This is him. He has he's consistently looking in two directions, and he is a giant piece of shit. And I don't know why he keeps going on television. You may remember he was on with. Who was he even on with Tim from Bulwark, and I don't remember the other guy, and they just roasted him as a pastor. This time he came on with Amir Hassan, and they discussed misogyny. Now he, like many people on the right, believe that a household should vote, that you shouldn't be able to vote unless it's a household, meaning men should vote, or if it's a single mom, then the single mom can vote. But if you're in a household where there is a father and a mother, then the father's vote is the only vote that counts. And Mehdi correctly points out this might be misogyny. And I just, a frustrating thing with Doug Wilson, I think Andrew Wilson also holds this viewpoint. I think Steven Crowder holds this viewpoint. I think it is a popular viewpoint amongst Christian conservative like content creators or voices. I don't think this is nearly as popular nationwide as people think it is. You can look at the recent like Republican midterms, and you can look at people like James Fishback struggling to get votes. Who was the other guy that was struggling to get votes? The other, I don't remember what his name was. I think it was in South Carolina. Can't remember. But I don't think it's as popular countrywide, but it is very popular with people in Congress and also members of the media. And Mehdi excoriates him.
But in your ideal view of a Christian America, women would not have the right to vote. So how would they be deciding futures for their children? You're not allowing them to choose their own government.
In my vision, men don't have the right. Men as men don't have the right to vote either.
Callie said Brandon Ayuk was the hooker.
You believe in household voting, I believe.
Household voting.
Do you want to explain to viewers what that is?
Yeah. So we live in an individualistic society where each individual is like a solitary BB, and we throw all the BBs in a sack, and it turns into something like a beanbag chair.
I bet his sack does have 2 little BBs in it.
What I envision is a molecular society where families and households and churches and towns form complex molecules.
Bro, don't bring science into your shit. Don't bring science into your misogyny. The way they have to explain things, just say what you mean. Like how come Christians have to do this? How come they have to like create analogies for everything? You don't want women to vote. Just say that. Well, we need to form complex molecules. It's very scientific. It's not. You just don't like women. You don't think women should vote. Just say that.
And within that molecule, there's a decision-making discussion that goes on. So let's say we're going to have a church election for calling a pastor, let's say.
Yeah.
The Smith household and the Jones household get together, and we're have an election coming up, and they say, what do you all think? And the teenage kids contribute, the wife contributes, they have a discussion about...
He's describing what the right thinks communism is. Yeah, maybe.
What they thought of this guy's sermon and what they thought of
Who makes the final decision, Doug?
Well, if in most cases, overwhelmingly, there wouldn't have to be a final decision because it would be a consensus. But let's say there was a difference of opinion.
I mean,
let's say,
my wife and I disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah. And if you disagreed on who to vote for,
yes,
on election day, you might as well stay home and have a nice romantic dinner because all you're going to do is cancel each other out.
He says the dumbest shit. If you remember that interview with Tim, he's like, we know Jesus wasn't a socialist because he could actually feed people. Like, as Jesus was just legitimately a socialist. He always thinks he has like these great points. Well, if you're going to vote for different people, you cancel each other out, so stay home. All right, but what if you just want to vote, though? What if you just want your voice to be heard?
So, but that's under the current system. Under your system, who gets to decide who to vote? You dodged my question.
No, I'm not dodging it. In the
well,
current
okay,
system,
let me ask straight up. Under your system of household voting, the husband wants to vote Republican, the wife wants to vote Democrat. Who goes to vote in the ballot box and who decides who they vote for?
The head of the household would cast the vote.
Who is the head of the household, Doug?
If the man is there, if the man is present in the household, he's the head of the household.
So the man decides who to vote for?
Yeah.
Okay, that took a bit of time, but we finally got there. So a woman doesn't have the same power she has. She doesn't get...
Okay, so textbook misogyny, right? If you believe that men have a greater right to vote than women, misogyny. I don't know another way that you can work around that, but Doug's going to tell you that it's not.
To decide her children's future necessarily because her husband can overrule her. In your church, you don't...
You're talking as though you're having to drag out of me things that I've written about.
It took a while to get there to say that men will decide who they vote for.
I'm on the record. I'm on the record.
Sounds like another reason not to get married.
Good.
I affirm it.
So would you agree with the characterization that you are a misogynist?
No.
Why not? The definition of a misogynist is someone who discriminates against women. You've just told us on the record, happily, enthusiastically, that you would have a man decide the vote for a household but not a woman.
Right.
So how is that not misogyny?
That's not discrimination. I also believe that...
How is it not discrimination? Oh, don't jump ahead. How is that not discrimination? Right now, a man and a woman can both vote. You want to repeal the 19th Amendment so that a woman wouldn't be able to vote. The head of the household, who is a man, would vote. How is that not discrimination, unless you've tortured the meaning of all words?
The word discrimination used to be a good word.
No. No. It can just be used different ways. He doesn't understand science. He doesn't understand the Constitution. And now he doesn't know that words can be used in different ways.
He has discriminating taste. He has a discriminating
Okay, but
power.
right now it's not.
Yeah, but what if your discriminating taste is, I only hang out with white people? You could say I have discriminating taste and I only eat like locally sourced food. Sure. You say I have discriminating taste and I won't listen to AI generated music, whatever, that's not a good or a bad thing. That's just a thing. But if you're saying like women shouldn't be allowed to vote, that was never a good thing. There's a lot of people agreed with it. It's never a good thing. It was always discrimination and not in a good way.
Right now it means you are treating someone with lesser rights.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, that's Pete Hegseth's pastor. But Pete Hegseth's not a misogynist either. It's crazy to hear somebody be like, I'm not a misogynist. And then they're like, here's all of my misogynist views. So it's like the Fuentes folks that come in here and are like, we're not neo-Nazis. We're not alt-right. We're not white nationalists. All of our views just happen to also align directly with white nationalism and the neo-Nazis. So what's this dolt's plan for all the households headed by women? Well, Lisa, if you are a single mom, you can vote. I don't think he believes two women should be married, so I don't think that counts. You basically have to be a single mom in order to vote as a woman under Doug Wilson's proposed voting rules. I have discriminating taste and I eat nothing but mayo and Wonder Bread. Yeah, it's the next 3 words in the South. Discrimination used to be a good thing in the South. Yeah, I mean, he might have left that out. He's in Idaho, though. I mean, Idaho's pretty discriminatory. He's in Coeur d'Alene. The further north you go, the more of the KKK you run into. I've told you guys this before. I was on my Mormon mission in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. There's only 3 groups there. You have the Mormons, the Mennonites, and the KKK. That's pretty much northern Idaho, though. A lot of them have moved up into Canada and into Montana, but that's kind of breeding grounds. You got like the South, and then you have Idaho, and that's where you can find the KKK. Idaho. I've never heard that one before. All right, this just made me laugh a little bit.
Jack with MS Now. I was curious if you have any concerns about the president.
MS Noun, who put this compilation together. These are Republicans who slammed the Biden family corruption, but don't talk about Trump's.
Jack with MS Now. I was curious if you have any concerns about the president's sons profiting off of defense contracts.
The president doesn't talk to you guys. Why should I?
You're in a cult. If the president doesn't talk to you, why should I? I can't fix her. Shut up. Shut up, Meghead. I don't like her anymore. I've grown up. I've grown past that.
Using complex maneuvers to pocket millions of dollars from our adversary. It is time to impeach this compromised commander-in-chief.
Do you have any concerns about it? You were concerned about Hunter Biden and Burisma.
This is a tale as old as
We're not going to talk about that. Trudy said, taking a little stress off Jen. Big W, Trudy. Holy shit. Every day. Sent $100 over on Venmo. Way too generous. Cameron said, horrific playoff loss to Seattle. Then they win a Super Bowl. Levi's Shanahan gets injured. Shut up.
time. Politician takes action that makes money for his family, and then he tries to conceal it.
Stablecoin venture that got UAE funding. Is there any profiting off of the presidency there? What about the Kazakhstan mining venture? Is that something you're familiar with?
Vaguely heard something about that, but I haven't.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how they just haven't heard of anything? Just never heard of all the things Donald Trump is doing openly in public. But they knew all about Hunter Biden. They had to get a laptop. They had to investigate him. They had to have the FBI investigate him. They found out all this stuff, but just so uncurious when it comes to Donald Trump and his family.
Does any of this, I guess, sound reminiscent of some of the Burisma concerns that you did have?
The concern here is not Hunter Biden's own problems, but rather it is official corruption from the then Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, and now the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Are you concerned?
Well, yeah, I like what Ted Cruz said there. The problem isn't Joe Biden or Hunter Biden. It's a broader sense of corruption. It's people in the executive branch who use their power and or their kids use their access to that power to make money. Right? That's a good point. Are you going to speak on today on the Supreme Court rulings on mail-in voting? Yes.
Concerned at all by the Trump sons' investments that have benefited from defense contracts and the Kazakhstan mining venture? Is that on your radar at all?
I don't have concerns on that front.
He has brought money back into the big guy and really.
What is that? You guys trying to use Jesus to promote your nonsense is embarrassing. No, what's embarrassing is you guys using Jesus to promote bigotry and hatred. Like, respectfully, and I mean respectfully, like, fuck the entire way off. However far you can fuck off that much. Shut up. Jesus was a socialist by every definition. Give me one example of Jesus being a capitalist. One. Find one capitalist principle that Jesus preached, and we'll talk. I'm not a socialist. Jesus was. I would say Jesus was probably more of a communist because he didn't even like government. He would say render things to see, like render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, so he complied with government, but he didn't seem to be a big fan of government. I think Jesus was a budding communist. But like, what's one thing you stand for as a Republican that Jesus supports? Go ahead, May. One thing. I'm such a Mormon weirdo. Yeah, but look, I was at Mormon church this week, actually. Enjoyed my time with my family. I went to church this weekend. Give me one. Bold move to talk about Jesus and still support the cover up of pedophiles. Yeah, bold, super bold. And you watch nobody give me an example. Give me one example of Jesus being a fucking capitalist. One. Your definition of far right is just anyone who disagrees with you? No, that's not true. Like I was talking to, when I was on Jubilee, I was talking tweeting back and forth today with Steven, who I was on Jubilee with. He's a conservative pundit. I don't think he's far right. I think he's like as moderate as they come. We disagree on a ton of stuff. Sure, bureaucracy. Yeah, the line about Caesar was not about compliance. He was talking about the fact that Caesar's face was on the money. He was saying if Caesar wants his face on the money, then give him the money. Don't use it. Is that true? You might be right about that. Give an example of what, Gabriel? I don't know what you're asking me to give an example of. Here, let's go back to these guys. I'll read your answer.
Compromise now the office of the presidency.
Are you concerned at all about Trump's son's investments that have benefited from defense contracts under this administration?
Look, I'm not. I think transparency is the best answer.
It's about selling the presidency, selling the vice presidency. The whole Biden family doesn't think the rules apply to them.
Should Congress look into it or take any action?
Run away!
Everything. We always make sure things are being done the right way.
Congress looks into everything. We always make sure things are being done the right way. Unless it has to do with Trump, then we consistently look the other way. How do you say that with a straight fucking face? And any of you who support this, like Republicans, it's fine. You can be a Republican. You can be conservative. We can disagree on what your views are. But like, how the fuck do you sit here with a straight face and be like, yeah, these guys are on the up and up? How do you do that? There is not one of you who thinks that they're looking into Donald Trump. Most of you think that you shouldn't. You should never look into Donald Trump. He is above reproach. But how do you look yourself in the eye? How do you take this party seriously?
This is a thoroughly corrupt family. This is a vast web of foreign financial entanglements.
Have you heard of the Kazakhstan mining venture as well? Is that also a concern?
Well, I'm sure you guys investigate all that to find yourselves out.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm too busy chasing down conspiracy theories about COVID. That's the most important thing.
That Congress should look into?
Something the journalists will look into.
I knew he was crooked from the get-go. It's not coincidental. His son was making $1 million a year.
They've got funds that they raised from the UAE for their stablecoin venture.
First century Jews weren't socialists. You're lying. I know. I said Jesus was a socialist.
Think that is a compromise at all?
I am the last guy you want to talk to about crypto. Still a kind of mystery to me of how it all works. So I'm not going to comment on that.
Should his sons be profiting off of that kind of thing?
There are very legitimate questions about his ties to China, his ties to Burisma, his ties in Ukraine. We need to know the truth because it's affecting our policy right now.
Do you have any?
I don't think parties have my views as their interest at all. I don't. I think very few Democrats care about the things I care about, like a small minority.
We're all concerns about profiting off of the presidency for the Trump family?
Well, I love how you guys all of a sudden are like, oh, now we want to pay attention to something.
Everybody should be treated the same.
Overall, is this something that you have looked into at all?
Sherry, I'm not having this interview here on the side of.
All right. Don't care. What how about Gabriel, how about sell your possessions and give it to the poor? Matthew 19. Sounds like socialism a little bit, right? Luke 12:33, sell your possessions, give it to the poor. How about the story of the Good Samaritan? Taking his money, using it to treat and shelter an injured stranger. Isn't Jesus like the good shepherd? Why'd he feed all those people? The bread and the fish. Woe to you who are rich. Blessed are you who are poor. Luke 6:20. Yeah, well, yeah. Apparently, by your guys' definition, because you guys don't want to feed the poor. And you accuse everybody who wants to feed the poor of being socialist. I'm just using your definitions. Right? You guys claim that anybody who wants to expand Medicare or Medicaid or SNAP or Social Security or in food assistance programs at all, that's all socialism, right? But when Jesus does it, it's what? It's just not socialism? I don't think, I think that it's owning the means of production. The people owning the means of production, I think that's socialism. But if we're using your definition, Gabriel, where's yours? Where's your example of Jesus being a capitalist? Who did Jesus go to? When Jesus wanted to announce something, who did he go to? He went to the poor. He focused his entire life on the poor. You, as Republicans, as Christian Republicans, you, May, everybody else is here, you demonize the poor. You demonize the immigrant. You demonize the sex worker. Matthew chapter 21, verse 12 and 13, when he threw out the money changers, yeah. Saying, if you're gonna hold that standard, if every time Democrats try and feed poor people, you call them socialists, then hold that standard and call Jesus one. You don't get it. Why do you have a different standard for Jesus? Didn't he flip the market tables in the temple? Yeah. Because he's the Son of God? So? He's the Son of God, so I can pretend he's whatever I want. Is that what you're saying? Oh, no, I just pretend. That's what we do. He's the Son of God. He gave good advice. All that advice seems to align with the people I call socialists, but I'm not a socialist, and socialism is evil. Literally, everything you accuse us of being socialist for are things Jesus would support. Dems are losing the midterms, for sure. For sure. Who the fuck are we to demand taxpayers pay for shit? Voters. That's who we are. That's what taxpayers do. They pay for shit. You know how taxes work? It's all pretend. Jesus, as a king, would have definitely used the treasury to ensure a basic living standard for the poor. No, he would have built a fucking ballroom. He would have been very worried about decorating the White House gold, building a ballroom, cutting money from foreign aid. Oh, goddamn. All these countries with people who don't have access to clean water or healthy food or medical care. He would have cut that funding for sure and been like, you know what? We got to take this funding and we got to give it to the oil executives. We got to give tax breaks to the rich people. That's a very Jesus thing to do. Spray paint all the statues in D.C. Yeah, I don't think Gabriel read the Bible either. He comes off as a fake fucking Christian to me. All right, this was interesting. Donald Trump has, for like the 850th time in a year and a half, has declared war on Canada. I do think it's important, and I think they're going to get to this, but in Donald Trump's first administration and when I used to debate during the Biden administration, we would often ask people, like, give me one example of something Donald Trump did well. Like, one thing he did in his first administration, I guess before he's president. So as president, what did he do well? And almost universally, people would bring up that he renegotiated our trade agreements with Mexico and Canada and gave us actual free trade. And we are still under those trade agreements right now. And Donald Trump is consistently breaking his own perfect trade agreements and taxing you. Again, I don't actually think what Trump is doing is using tariffs as leverage. I think Donald Trump is using tariffs because if he doesn't, we're fucked. We have to tax Americans. And he can't tax his rich friends. And he can't say that he's taxing anybody. So he says tariffs paid by other countries. And he goes, tariffs, Canada. Look, it's Canada. Look, it's Canada up there. We're tariffing them. He's not. You pay the taxes. Why does he need that tariff revenue? We played on Thursday. That was the last day we were here, or Wednesday. I don't remember. I played a video of Scott Besson explaining that the reason we had such high deficits this year is because we had to refund tariffs. Who do we refund tariffs to? American companies. And he said next year we project that we won't have this same level of deficits because we intend on collecting tariffs. Who are you collecting tariffs from? American companies. Who will they pass that cost along to? You and I. We're being taxed for this. They can't tell you they're taxing, and you're either unaware, too uneducated to understand it, or you just don't really care. As long as they lie to you, you're like, give me more lies, daddy. Here, this is Peter Armstrong. He's a CBC News senior business correspondent. He's on with PBS's Jeff Bennett discussing the trade war between U.S. and Canada. Trump announced tariffs on Canadian-made cars, trucks, and auto parts will rise to 50%. A thing that he negotiated. The reason that Canada was sending more stuff is because Trump negotiated that with Canada. And now I don't even know why he's mad at Canada. Can you guys tell me why the fuck he's mad at Canada? What Canada did? Now he's going to slap 50% tariffs on them. Can't even stick to his own deal. His own deal is a nightmare. He blames Joe Biden for it. It's his deal.
And President Trump, as you well know, has long argued that Canada takes advantage of the U.S. when it comes to trade. What does the data actually show?
Yeah, I mean, it's an argument that really infuriates Canadians because...
Oh, sorry. Amy said, Dems have now flipped over 40 seats nationally. Republicans, 0. But yeah, for sure, Dems are getting killed in the midterms.
For the most part, that trade deficit that the U.S. runs is only because America decided to buy more safe, friendly, next door to them oil from Canada. Were it not for oil, there wouldn't be a trade deficit at all. And in fact, if you look at it, it includes services. So everything from consulting to software to digital streaming, that trade deficit shrinks.
Yeah, DNC for treason just doesn't understand trade deficits. If by that, like, are you subsidizing the grocery store? Are you subsidizing Walmart? Our government is, but are you when you buy something, or are you just buying something? We have a trade deficit with Canada because we buy shit from them. And we buy shit from them because it's cheaper for us to buy it from them than it is to produce it here.
It's to basically nothing. I think it's $40 billion at that point. So the argument that the trade deficit is what's behind all this, economists will tell you, I run a trade deficit with my dentist. It doesn't make him a bad guy who's trying to rip me off. It means I use the services he provides and he spends my...
Did you forget what Justin Trudeau did to truckers? Bro, it's 2026. Okay? We're not talking about that. Jesus fucking Christ. What a crazy response to this. Pay attention to this. It's 2026. I don't want to criticize Trump, so I'm going to talk about Justin Trudeau.
Money somewhere else in my community, and it all kind of works out well.
When the president writes, we don't need Canada, they need us, economically, how accurate is that? Is Canada more vulnerable in this trade war than the U.S.?
I mean, yes, Canada is more vulnerable, but that doesn't mean this isn't being felt already by American producers.
Sorry, I missed that. Amy said Hunter Biden made $250,000 or less every year with his dad was president. Trump's kids have gotten millions and some billions.
American businesses, American households and consumers, right? Like, just take the auto industry. The automakers in North America have paid out something to the tune of $110 billion in the last 18 months alone in tariffs and costs due to the disruptions. And we've seen a pretty significant drop-off in U.S.-made cars coming to Canada. Canada is the #1 export market for everything in the United States. It's the #1 export market for cars as well. And a 27% drop-off is I think it's a $7 billion loss. for U.S. automakers. And you look at what else do they need? We provide an awful lot of the oil that gets turned into gasoline for American consumers, right? 25% of refinery throughput. Put another way, the oil that goes into a refinery to become gasoline, 25% of that comes from Canada. And so it's been this really helpful, really reliable, really friendly relationship for 60, 70 years. And the undoing of that, if that's in fact the goal, is to undo the economic ties between these two countries, is not going to come without pain for people on both sides of the border.
Why? Why do we want to have this trade war with Canada? We want to explain it? I haven't got an explanation. It's always the same excuse. They're taking advantage of us. How? By selling us stuff that we want? If we're buying stuff from them, they're not taking advantage of us. What are they forcing us to buy stuff from them? Is there anybody here? Where'd May go? Is there anybody here that can explain to me why the fuck we're in a trade war with Canada? Wants to cripple Canada and take their resources? Maybe. Occam's razor, I think the most likely explanation is that we need tax revenue. So they just make up these. That's why these fights all seem so silly. It's why nobody can ever explain how a trade deficit is a problem for us. They never give you an explanation. I really do think it's just a matter of they cut taxes a ton. We're fucked if they don't collect more taxes. They can't go back and raise taxes. And so they have to hope that nobody notices that they're taxing you with tariffs. Because our president is the dumbest human ever to live. Okay, that's so far the best answer. Electric Dad says, wait until they shut the power off. Yeah, enjoy that in the north there. Enjoy that this winter.
And that remarkable phrase from the Prime Minister that America's signature was written in pencil, given the depth of the U.S.-Canada relationship, what does it say when a Canadian Prime Minister is now publicly questioning whether the U.S. can be relied upon?
Well, a couple of things. You have to take into account the ferocious anger and sense of betrayal that I think a lot of Canadians are feeling right now. And it's not just this round of tariffs. It's not just the last round of tariffs. And it's not just the constant berating.
That was because Trudeau's dating Katy Perry? That could be it.
Of we're going to turn Canada into the 51st state, or that they refer to the Prime Minister as governor, and these other sort of just disrespectful ways of treating your closest trading partner. But the cumulative effect of all of that.
Trump presidency is the worst in modern history. I don't know. It's hard to argue.
Really has weight. And then you have to think about the fact that what we're undoing here is the USMCA agreement that was signed into effect during Trump's last term. It's not like this was a deal that was made 40 years ago by some other, a Democrat or somebody that he disagrees with. This was made by Donald Trump, by Jamieson Greer, by American officials that are still part of this administration. And they said at the time, this is the greatest trade deal in history, and it was going to benefit everybody on both sides of the border. And then literally on day one of the administration, they came in and said, well, that deal's no good anymore. We want to restart everything. So you do have to wonder how much an agreement that we might have made would have been worth.
Everybody hates you guys. It's not MAGA. May, I don't think there's anybody who hates you more than you. And I'm sorry that you've become the person that you are today. You have a deep, deep hatred for yourself, and you project that on others. And I hope things get better for you.
And whether at the last minute or in 6 months or in a year from now, the terms of that agreement would have been torn up. So I do feel some sympathy for the Prime Minister trying to carve a way through all of that uncertainty to find a deal that's good for both economies, but especially for Canada, for his constituents.
The ferocious anger that you speak of when Carney describes what's happening.
That's actually a really good point, Burned Out Medic. Trump has made this country completely vulnerable to a coordinated attack from other countries. Yeah, and I think you mean economic attack. I don't think you necessarily mean like a military attack. But yeah, he's pissed off everybody. Our biggest export is services. If people stop using our services, they'll suffer a little bit. They'll have to create their own products. But a boycott of some of the world's biggest economies, if they came together and boycotted the United States, yeah, they could cripple us in a hurry. And then suddenly you wouldn't think that crippling sanctions are communism. right? All of a sudden the country's in dire straits. And you're like, oh, it's because we're communist. Trump is setting us up for people to be vindictive.
In terms of approaching an economic war, is that how Canadians broadly see this rupture with the U.S.?
They do, absolutely. And to put it very plainly, again, it's not just the tariffs, and it's not just the threats of economic annexation or, there's like today, the Vice President of the United States referred to Canada as a state. This is not something that I think anybody in the United States would accept from any other country.
When JD Vance tries to do like the Trump stuff, he looks like such a fucking loser. You're not tough, JD. Nobody thinks you're tough. Like, nobody really thinks Trump's tough either, but it's kind of who he is. It just comes off awkward and unbecoming. He just can't figure out who he is. I don't think JD Vance has a single solitary fucking clue who he is or what he stands for. He's kind of just been like moseying through life, finding people more powerful than him and then adopting their views.
You're talking about your country. So nobody here is accepting it as something that should be reasonable or taken reasonably here in this part of the country.
Sorry, JD Bowman, thank you.
And, they've taken lots of measures to push back, but the ones that seem to get under the skin of the administration the most are the two that have nothing to do with the federal government. It's the provinces that have taken American alcohol off the shelves of liquor stores in 8 of 10 provinces. And it's been a really grassroots move by Canadian consumers and households to not travel to the United States while these tariffs are in place. Both of those have come with enormous costs to tourism-heavy regions and to California wines and Kentucky bourbons. And the more this goes on, I think the less likely it is that Canadians, even when those things go back on the shelves, and even when tourism is back to Canadians say it's okay to travel there again, I'm not sure how many will actually take up a glass of American bourbon or travel to the United States, given how disrespected and how angry and how upset they are with the way this administration has treated Canadian trade, Canadian businesses, and I think Canadian citizens.
Did we ever get an answer why we're so upset about Canada? I was looking, I didn't see any. Here's Doug Ford's response. I do love a good Doug Ford response. And cue everybody in the chat that couldn't tell us why we're in a trade war with Canada. Cue them now just being disrespectful to Doug Ford. Now they have an opportunity to answer, and they won't. They're just going to be like, Doug Ford's dumb. Doug Ford's a communist.
Premier Sean Jefford, CBC News. I know you haven't had an opportunity to see this, but we were just looking at a very fresh post here from President Trump on Truth Social, taking aim at you personally, taking shots at you, suggesting you should fall in line, and that you are a flunky of the Prime Minister.
What a bitch shit thing to say. Don't tell people to fall in line. You're a fucking psychopath if you tell people to fall in line. I'm not a fucking authoritarian, but fall in line. He talks about that. He talks like that all the time. I don't know who the fuck Donald Trump thinks he is. Yeah, there's a lot of people who fall in line, and those people are what we scientists refer to as bitch-ass bitches. But regular people aren't gonna fall in line for a dipshit like Donald fucking Trump. Like, fall in line. How about not fall in line for you, sir? How about you're too fucking stupid to listen to, MAGA? I'll fall in line. Can I suck your dick too? I'll even remove the diaper.
Do you want to respond to these shots? What would you say to the president?
No, I don't respond to.
This motherfucker looks like Brock Lesnar if he drank beer. So like that, I don't know who you a toxic snipe. That's incredible. That he does. He does look like Brock Lesnar's lazy brother.
A dictator like President Trump, a bully like President Trump. As I said before, he's the type of guy in school that would take your lunch money one day, take your toque off your head the next day, and then steal your running shoes. But I'm not going to take any advice off a guy that's the king of bankruptcies. And he's actually tariffing his own people, taxing his own people. And I'm going to make sure I communicate through the U.S. media. I'm going to be reaching out to every single governor, every single senator, and every single congressperson. And when it comes to the midterms, I have a message to the Americans. Don't vote in a person that's going to kill your jobs. He ran on creating...
Isn't that crazy advice? That is such good advice, and Republicans won't like it. Don't vote for people who are going to take away your jobs. I'm gonna, though. I'm gonna do it. I'm still gonna vote for the people trying to take away my job. I have to. Donald Trump told me to. By the way, Doug Ford, conservative. He's a leader of the is it PCP, Progressive Conservative Party?
More jobs. Last time I checked, jobs went down in the U.S. and Ontario created more jobs. He ran on reducing the cost of living. Last time I checked, food's more expensive down there. Homes are more expensive. And the reason homes are more expensive because he has a tariff on our lumber, which 33% of all homes that are built in the U.S. use Canadian lumber. So I'm not going to take lessons off President Trump. He's the last guy that I would take any lessons off.
It's good life advice. Don't listen to Donald Trump. Amy said the most affected financially by Trump's price hikes are in Republican-run states and counties. Yeah, but don't tell them that. It's just Joe Biden's doing this to me.
And it's about Team Canada. Well, we'll see how this goes, but he wants to put pain on Canadians. We'll leverage every bit of pain we possibly can on Americans. And you know what I feel bad for? I've always said I love the American people.
He's a liberal in conservative clothing. Look, I would say that Doug Ford is probably like a neoliberal. He's part of the conservative party. Like, he likes lower taxes. He likes deregulation. He's a fan, he talks about like fiscal restraint. He's big on like law and order stuff. He's pretty pro business, which means he's going to cut taxes or regulations for businesses. Which I would say is like a neoliberal. I think here he would be a moderate Democrat, which is a conservative.
Still stand by that statement because there's a lot of people in the U.S. that are calling me saying, way to go, keep going. You know, your own people, President Trump, don't even like you. And they're going to speak loud and clear when it comes to the midterms. And if I was allowed to, I'd be down there door knocking.
Come on down, dude. We'll have you. I don't know what the rules are, but come on down. We'll put a wig on you. Nobody will even know that it's you. All right, let's talk about the midterms because we have we'll get to some polling here in a minute, but first I want to go to North Carolina Republican Senate candidate Michael Whatley, and they're scrambling. I believe Michael Whatley's down nearly double digits in North Carolina now. That has gone from toss-up to lean Democrat to likely Democrat, depending on where you're looking. And because there's no answer for any of this, because you can't explain the shifting views of the people of North Carolina and the absolute animosity that most of this country has for conservative politicians, we now have to resort to conspiracy theories. And you remember when Mr. Wonderful, there was all that backlash against his data center going in Utah, in northern Utah. And he's like, well, the people that are opposed to it are Chinese spies. And those two like younger women just like popped up. They're like, hey, not Chinese spies, just Utah citizens who graduated college here. And we just don't want a massive fucking data center. That's how this rings. This is what Republicans are left with. Everything we show from Republicans today, and I'm going to have a lot of stuff from Republicans today. Just pay attention to the difference between Republicans and Democrats, and you'll understand why Democrats are winning. For the record, holy shit, Democrats are doing basically the bare minimum, and it's light years ahead. There's miles of distance between them and Republicans who are just saying, like, don't believe your own eyes.
And I know families are worried about the data centers. They've been doing things. Every time we do something on a data center, I get emails from every side of it.
Yes, I don't know if you know this. If you go back, you can read Amy's super chat. Democrats now have flipped 40 seats nationally, Brad. Do you know how many the Republicans have flipped nationally during the Trump administration? Want to guess? It's 0. 40-0 feels like winning. I don't, what sport could you be up 40-0 and you wouldn't be winning? That's like mercy rule shit. If this was freshman football, the game would be over. You guys would just have to go home. Like, sorry, we have a mercy rule.
This is one of the more intriguing issues as opposed to the knee-jerk issues of common sense.
Well, it is, but
Where do
you
stand
also
on
got to
it?
remember that this opposition to data centers is not
Darts, okay, darts. Yeah, good point. You can come back from 40-0 with darts. But you're still winning, right? Still winning if you're up 40-0?
organic. This is being ginned up
Sorry,
the same
let me go
way
back.
Of common sense.
Well, it is, but
Where do
you,
you
you
stand
also
on
got to
it?
remember that this opposition to data centers is not organic. This is being ginned up the same way that we saw opposition to energy prices.
Guys, none of you are upset about data centers, okay? It's all fake. None of you are actually upset about that. That's what they're running on now in North Carolina. No, the things that they say they're upset about are not actually the things that they're upset about. It's all trickery.
Projects around the country. You know, they're trying to build a new nuclear plant. All of a sudden, people come out of the woodwork and they hate nuclear.
No subsidies, tax breaks, but no subsidies.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of what people are upset about? How is a tax break not a subsidy, by the way? It's just a different name. Tax breaks, but no subsidies. What does it do? Does it subsidize what they're doing? Yeah. Okay. But it's not a subsidy. No, it's a tax break. Here's Jonathan Carl. This will tell you how wrong Michael Whatley is. This is a 5-minute interview, and I'm sorry that we have to listen to Greg Abbott talk for 5 minutes. I wanted to show this interview because Greg Abbott is in a deep red state, or historically deep red state. And Greg Abbott is now having to make a lot of changes. And Greg Abbott, if you didn't know, if you didn't hear him criticizing Democrats here, you'd be like, oh, see, he must be like a moderate Democrat.
Governor Greg Abbott once vowed to make
Yeah, exactly. Shh, you're not upset. Some of these seats Dems had not held for more than 50 years. Good point, Amy.
the state the, quote, epicenter of the AI industry. Now he has put in place a moratorium on data center construction. That issue, along with inflation and anxiety about the Iran war, is among the factors that have Texas Republicans nervous about the midterms. The nonpartisan Cook Political Report, which rates elections across the country, this week
One Love, what the fuck are you and Papa's talking about?
rated the Texas Senate race a toss-up, suggesting Democrats have a real chance of winning a seat they haven't won in decades. We traveled to Austin to talk to the Lone Star State's most powerful Republican, a leader who is also facing a tougher than expected campaign for re-election as governor. Governor Abbott, thank you for having us.
Great to have you in Texas.
So how much anger and concern are you hearing out there about data centers?
So listen, what we've been focused on is responding to concerns that have been raised about data centers and making sure that we have created a structure that's going to do more than any state to solve the problem. As governor, I have outlined the greatest detail and most comprehensive plan of any governor in the United States of America to respond to the data center challenge. Let me tell you what I've done. I have pressed pause on any new data center being able to join the operations in the state of Texas.
And other governors have done the same, yeah.
And well, here's the deal. During that pause, I have set guidelines and guardrails that all data centers have to comply with. Number one, they must identify what water usage they're demanding and make clear they are not taking water from communities that need it.
Now, this is all because of backlash on data centers. One of the things that, and I forget, somebody probably knows the term of it, but these data centers are claiming that they're not going to use water. Basically, what they believe they're self-sustaining. So they have water and they run it through to cool the data center, and then they filter it themselves, and then they run it back through. They do that all like over and over and over again. One, I don't know if they know about evaporation. I'm not a closed loop system. Thank you, Brad. See, I fucking knew somebody would be here. Closed loop system, Michael too. Lots of you. Closed loop system. And if I get any of this wrong, please let me know. This is my basic understanding of it. One, when they refine it, when they go through and they take out the impurities, where is that going to go? Where are they going to dump that? That's something people are worried about. Two, evaporation. Those toxic chemicals go into the air. Three, if you're using gas turbines, that can be toxic. That also goes into the air. People, it's not like people are opposed to data centers. It's not like people are opposed to having like great AI. People are opposed to dying for billionaires. And in Texas, of all places, who has access to more energy than perhaps any other state. Alaska might have access to more energy if they were able to drill. I don't know. Of all places, in Texas, conservative Texas, they're like, hey, we got to put a moratorium on this shit. Like this isn't going to work.
Number two, they must not take power from the Texas power grid that's needed. Number three, they must actually lower the cost of electricity for consumers. Number four, they need to make sure.
I'd like to know how they plan on doing that. How would a data center lower the price? I guess they're going to put in some renewable energy. How could you possibly lower the price of electricity for consumers? If they're using the existing gas lines, then that takes away from the consumers, and that's going to raise prices. If they're using natural gas or they're using oil or coal, like they're gonna use a bunch of resources. That's going to increase prices. The only way that they could possibly reduce prices for the consumer is renewable energy. I think he's not saying that because you can't say that in Texas, I guess, even though Texas uses more wind and solar than virtually any other state. But that's the only way you can lower the price. Send data centers RP. Jason Kelsey said so. Did he really?
That they are not disturbing neighborhoods or rural communities. These are
by selling the leftovers from their own power plants, opening the amount available. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but is that saying? But if they are buying energy, if they're competing for energy that the community is competing for, just like the basic principles of supply and demand, the price would go up, right? So even if they sell it back, you still have that initial price increase. Are they going to sell it back at a loss? You have no idea what you're talking. You don't know shit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just know supply and demand. Do you want to explain which part of that was wrong, Jeff? You're welcome to call in. By the way, any Republican, you're welcome to call in today. You just message JenDub1, JENNDUBB1 on Discord. It's the same as the Venmo username there, and you can come up and you can tell me all about how I got it wrong.
Standards that are now being universally applied by all the data centers in the state of Texas.
But we see it not just in Texas. We see it all over the country. I mean, some of these town hall meetings, some of these public hearings, real anger. What is driving it? Is it the energy costs? Is it what is driving the anger?
So
you're out there talking to people.
One thing is the rapidity that these data centers are coming online that people didn't see coming. The other is the way that the data centers, they didn't do their job to get the support of people in local communities. Gaining the support of people.
That's not their job. That's your job. It's not their job to get permission. It's the job of local and state government to make sure that they're not doing things that the people don't want them to do. Nobody's better at like brushing off criticism and vacating responsibility than Republicans. The data centers were not properly doing their job. Oh, word? Is that what happened? They didn't do their job and you just gave them the permits anyways? You just gave them the tax breaks anyways? But it was their fault? Got it.
In local communities is essential. Because they did not do that, that's why I am now coming in as governor saying, listen, if you're a data center and you want to operate in Texas, you have to first get the approval of those in local communities. And that's why I set that standard, no data centers disturbing local communities in Texas.
It was last year that you said that Texas was the epicenter of the AI industry. In hindsight, did Texas move too fast?
It wasn't Texas that was moving fast. It was these data centers.
But they needed approval.
It's just accountability. They're allergic to accountability. And I know that's politicians largely across the board, but Jesus fucking Christ, you're in Texas. It's only you. Republicans are to blame. If you are in Texas and you have issues with what the government is doing, blame a fucking Republican. You don't have another option. It's Republicans. Especially when it comes to data centers.
From the government.
Well, so what data centers were doing, and this is the problem that we are facing here in Texas, but you mentioned what's going on nationally.
Sure.
And that is, they pop up in places that nobody ever heard of before until they started the construction. And so they had not been working in collaboration with the state They'd not been working in collaboration with local governments. And so they basically dug their own grave for the problem that's been caused for them, and that's why they got the backlash they deserve. And that's why these new standards are in place to make sure they're not going to be able to operate until they come into compliance with the standards that I have set.
The approvals here in this state happened with astonishing speed. I mean, the New York Times recently went through some of this. One massive power plant for a Meta data center approved in 20 days, another in just 3 days, another in 2 days. I mean, was that a mistake?
Oh, we got to cut deregulation. Remove the red tape. The government needs to be fast and efficient. We got to give these billionaires the ability to put their shit up before we can do anything about it. This is what massive deregulation does. This is what tax breaks and deregulation do to your state. And it's crazy. Like, it's crazy to. I think he believes this. I think some Republicans believe this shit because they just convince themselves that they're right. But this is what happens when you let Republicans be in charge. They deregulate. They don't tax appropriately, and here we are.
Well, so the way that it works in Texas, they didn't get approvals from the state of Texas.
They had to get approvals to build those power plants, to power their data centers.
So to actually begin the data center, they don't need to get approval from the state of Texas, which is the way the law currently works. One thing that they would need to do eventually is to get approval to plug into the power grid. However, in Meta, for example, out in El Paso, they are outside the Texas power grid there, and so they weren't required to be a part of getting the approvals from the power grid. That said,
so there was no public notice, there was no approval?
Well, no, there was at the local level there in El Paso. However, because my guidelines and guardrails that I've set up are so clear, the Meta data center in El Paso, which is outside the Texas power grid area, they have announced they will be in full compliance with the guardrails and guidelines that I've set out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. Mr. said, can I be your number one fan? You can be whatever you want. Bridget said, dollar bills, y'all. Thanks. Alex said, did you see what Voldemort said about the Minnesota lawsuit? We're going to cover that in a little bit. Yeah. I did see that, and we'll get back to that. Hopefully, we'll get there. All right, they brought up the Cook political report, Senate rankings, and I want you to see what the Senate rankings look like. Right now, these are all the open Senate races here. 0 leaning Republican, 2 likely Republican, which is Kansas and Nebraska. I don't even understand this Nebraska polling. I don't. If we go here to let me pull up some Nebraska. In fact, Jen, will you pull up? No, I'll get it. Never mind. Nebraska Senate polling. This is Osborne has been leading. I haven't looked this morning, but Osborne has been leading, and he's an independent. I don't know how it is likely Republican. This from New York Times is going to make me have a paywall. Yeah, the last I see, Osborne +5. Tavern Research has a bunch of really weird polling. It seems to be all Tavern Research on the same day. That's not the one I wanted. Let's go here. See if Polls Max says. I've got Osborne +5, Osborne +2, Ricketts +1, Osborne +1. I don't know how it's likely Republican. We'll see. Maybe they're right about that. They do a good job, honestly. Cook political report's usually pretty accurate. But I want to look at these toss-up states. Alaska, which is currently red, looks like that's going to flip. They have ranked choice voting, and that always helps more progressive people. Iowa, we'll look at that. That looks like that could go blue. Maine's probably going blue. Michigan, El Sayed is up. Ohio, we'll look at that, and we'll look at Texas as well. But it looks an awful lot like, even in the Senate, the House is basically a done deal, but it looks like in the Senate, it's moving closer and closer to Democrats regaining control. Let's look at the polls here. This over on 270 to win. You can just look at the most recent polls. What the? I don't know what the TikTok. Sorry, TikTok. We're getting flagged right and left here. If we go to Texas, and these are all just the latest polls. This is a cool site you can go to, 270 to win, and we can look at the map here in a second. Tallarico +3, almost outside of the margin of error there. North Carolina, Cooper +5. New Hampshire, we weren't really worried about there. Let's go make sure we got general elections here. Michigan, El Sayed +1. This one's interesting. There's two different polls, and both of them are like legitimate polls out of Arkansas, and they came out a day apart. You have Hendrix College showing Schaffner at +3, and then you have JL Partners having Tom Cotton at +16. I am far more likely to believe the JL part or the +16 than I am the +3, but I did go through Hendrix College, and if you look at these two polls, you can see that JL Partners went through 803 likely voters, and their margin of error is 3.5%. They had it +16. If you look at Hendrix College, and again, both of these guys have been, both of these organizations have been right on Arkansas elections. They went and they said they polled 1,217 likely voters, and they show Schaffner with a 47.4% support compared to Cotton's 44%. And I think their margin of error was roughly the same, about 3.5%. So even in Arkansas, which I expect to go to Tom Cotton, we're starting to see that Haley Schaffner here may have tightened that up. When you start seeing polls coming out of Arkansas that show Democrats have a shot, you know that Republicans are fucking up. And if you're in Arkansas, why would you be happy with Tom Cotton? Have you seen backlash on Target for the Jim Crow costume? Yeah, I saw that. Ty said, thankful for you, my guy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyways, keep going here. There's another El Sayed +7 it's from Susquehanna in Michigan. You go to Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan up +5. I mean, every time we see a Michigan poll, it's El Sayed. If we go to Georgia, Ossoff clearly ahead. If you go down to Alaska, Peltola clearly ahead. Obviously Massachusetts, but even going down into Ohio now. What polling looks good for Republicans in Ohio? You got Sherrod Brown +4 and +8. Got North Carolina with Cooper up 13. The only poll that we have where Rogers was up was, how many days ago was that now? A week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where you had a Fox News poll had Rogers up +4. Texas has Paxton barely leading. Anyways, if we go here and we look at the poll, let's see if we've changed any of these to the interactive map. We can go ahead and we can leave Texas lean red there. We can leave Montana lean red there. And the last time we changed this was just because it was the polls at the time. Even if we leave it there, it's 51-49, which is a pretty likely outcome. But if we go where the polling is going now, we move Ohio to blue. North Carolina blue. Polling says Texas blue. I no longer think Montana goes blue, but Alaska certainly goes blue. We're looking at a 54-46 according to current polling. I don't know what I'm missing here. Maybe Texas. Everything else is pretty solid. How's Wisconsin doing? Well, there's no Senate race in Wisconsin right now. You have to remember polling is done maybe by liberals who are unemployed or housewives that sit at home, conservatives are at work, and they don't poll. No. You can remember that, but that is not true. That is called cope. Right? You can see, it's fucking stupid. You can see who was polled. You can see the amount of people polled here, and then they'll build in the margin of error based on who was polled. They try and get a sample of voters that are reflective of the state. Housewives might do, yeah. As an Iowan, I don't see us going blue. Well, let's look at it. Why don't you see you going blue? Well, we'll get to Idaho here in a minute, or Iowa in a minute. I do. I absolutely think Iowa is going to go blue. Here's Mark Halperin. He was on, I forget the name. I think it's called the two-way TV. Mark Halperin has been speaking to Republican strategists, and here's what he says they're saying.
To tell you, if you're a Republican and you want to whistle past the graveyard, I'm not going to reach any conclusions until I see how James Blair spends $1 billion plus. But right now, I hear regularly from sober, experienced Republican strategists who are doing midterm races who are very bearish on what's going on. If
Thanks,
you think
Damian.
that more money in 2026, having more money is dispositive in an election where the Republican has more money, it's not dispositive. We know that. We've seen that this year, not just in the Democratic Party. We've seen it in some special elections. Okay. If you think saying I'm experienced, I'm the chairman of a powerful committee, if you think that's dispositive, no.
Will Darlene really win today? I don't know. It's close.
If you think a district or a state having voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump in 2024 is dispositive, no. Okay. Democrats could win well more than the 4 Senate seats they need to take the majority. They could. I'm not predicting it, but they could. And I'll point you to Arkansas. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Cotton is an experienced guy. He's got well more money than his opponent. And I'm not here to tell you Tom Cotton's going to lose.
What's beautiful about these races, this is across the board, this is for Republicans and Democrats, is that the amount of money you have doesn't seem to matter near as much as it used to. Consistently in these midterms, people who are underfunded are winning. Money doesn't matter as much when nobody's watching network television. So we are ripe for a situation where if Democrats win, then you can say, let's get money out of politics. Maybe you can reverse Citizens United. And I think there's going to be a lot of Republicans on board with that. How could you not be on board with that? What Republican is going to go out there and be like, no, we need to keep money in politics? Some of them will vote that way, but they're not publicly going to go out and say that. All you need is a handful of Republicans to get on board with something that like 99% of Americans agree with. Renee said, I build data centers. Most of these all use closed-loop water cooling systems. The closed-loop systems are not water-consuming because they don't allow any evaporation. Think of your car's radiator. That is a closed-loop system. Electricity is the issue. Thank you. See, this is why I asked. I said, I don't know what you do about evaporation. There's Renee. Explains it. Thank you. I don't know. Also know how a radiator works. So that didn't help me at all, but thank you. Jeremy said, missed you last week, but enjoyed the much-needed break from politics. Hope this helps. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
But I am here to tell you that if there's a blue tsunami, we could be up late on election night over Tom Cotton's race. Here's the woman running against Tom Cotton on Morning Joe. Her name is Hallie Schaffner. She's like a 6th-generation Arkansas farmer. And go watch her entire performance this morning. But here's a little bit of it. And this is, you couldn't ask for a stronger message for the current environment. 118, please.
I am a 6th-generation Arkansas farmer. I'm also a wife. I'm the mom of a 7-year-old boy. I caregive for a parent with dementia. And I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't closed my family's 150-year-old farm last year because of the farm crisis, which means I have quite literally lived the rising costs and the broken system. And so I decided to fight back and to be the kind of senator who's going to fight for Arkansas instead of Washington, which, let me tell you, is a sight better than what we have in Senator Cotton.
So why do you think you've broken through clearly looking at this polling in a way that has surprised a lot of people? What has been the core of your message?
It's really about knowing what the cost of life is in Arkansas. I'm simply a real Arkansan who's speaking to these issues. And like we say in Arkansas, we're an independent-minded state. And
money talks in politics, and not just like spending. Like when people's pocketbooks are hurt and when people start not knowing where they're going to get their food, where they're not going to, how they're going to pay for their mortgage or their rent, party affiliation doesn't matter near as much. And the dichotomy here is pretty simple. Like, here's a farmer. She lost her job. She's just like thousands of other farmers across this country, probably hundreds of farmers in Arkansas. And she's talking about something that everybody else is dealing with too. There's an affordability crisis. And the Republicans are saying it's made up. Tom Cotton is saying, don't worry, our tax breaks are for the rich people are just about to work. Here they come.
You don't.
Arkansas. Jay, how do you call somebody from Utah? I say Utah. I don't know if that's right or not.
You don't have to change your party to want to change your senator.
She's stressing economics. She's not DSA. She has some liberal positions. Okay, but she's not more liberal than John Ossoff. who was elected in Georgia, which is obviously not as quite as red a state. Larry, is it silly to consider that in a blue tsunami that Tom Cotton could lose to that lady?
In a blue tsunami, I mean, he'll be the last one that will lose this time if it's that big of a blue tsunami. But yeah, I mean, I looked at this poll. I asked, my friends and people who give me advice, and they say no, they are whistling past the graveyard.
Yeah. Just to be clear,
the
reason Morning Joe booked her is because there's a silly poll that shows her ahead by 3. She's not ahead. She's not ahead, no. But the race could be close.
They said, listen,
the poll's not silly. It's just that it's an outlier. I went and I looked at the poll. Like, it was conducted correctly, but polls can be wrong, and that's why you want to see like you want to look at multiple polls. So this one, it's obviously weird, right? You have plus 16 and for the Republicans and plus 3 for the Democrats. It's probably somewhere in the middle there.
Tom Cotton will get reelected, and if he doesn't, we've got much bigger problems in the Republican Party than just Tom Cotton.
Yeah, if Tom Cotton loses, Democrats will be getting close to a filibuster-proof majority. But
exactly.
Kevin, that lady is super impressive.
Yeah, Harris was beating Trump in many polls. How did that work out? Yeah, dipshit. Not all polls are right. Trump was also beating Harris in a bunch of polls. How did that work out? Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. It's a poll. Like, come on, Jacob. You've been here long enough. Polls are not always right. Of course they're not.
Reminded me of Annie Andrews, too, in your conversation.
100%. Very similar.
Compelling narrative in terms of these are outsiders. Farmer, doctor. I'm so pissed off about what's happening. I decided to throw my hat in the ring. The one bad thing that she has going for her is Sarah Huckabee Sanders is at the top of the ticket. I don't even know who the Democrat is running against the governor, and the governor's going to have big coattails to cover Tom Cotton.
If they had a candidate like that in Michigan, they'd be sitting pretty. If they had a candidate like that in Texas, I would actually say, oh my gosh, I think they're going to win in Texas.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to.
I don't know how she's so different than James Talrico in Texas. Jamar says, people are being too nice. Fuck you and Jen, but also love you both.
Seeing how often they debate, I'd like to see Senator Cotton and that woman debate. Go watch the whole thing, ladies and gentlemen. She's super impressive.
Very
again,
compelling.
if you're running on the left in a blue state and your message is economic, and that's what her message is. Her message is about gas prices, the cost of living. It's about the Iran war and the effect on America, and it's about changing Washington. If that's your message, and not defund the police, and not trans athletes,
that's nobody's fucking message. Nobody is running on trans athletes or defunding the police. It's literally a platform. Who's running on that? Is there any, like, I say nobody. There might be somebody. Does anybody know? Is anybody running on defund the police or like trans athletes, whatever the fuck that means? It is remarkable to me to watch people who cover politics for a living being like, if the Democrats would just drop running on trans athletes. Who the fuck is running on that? We'll get to, El Sayed had a perfect answer about that when he was on with Jesse Waters. We'll get to that a little bit later, but who's running on that? The only people talking about those two issues are Republicans accusing Democrats of wanting to abolish the police.
You're in a much different posture towards trying to beat a Republican. Okay, in a red state.
And I will say, when I was coming up in politics, the two senators were Mark Pryor and Blanche Lincoln.
Yeah,
they talk about it for votes, but do not run in it. No, they don't. I have. It is a very rare thing to see a political candidate from the left bring up something about trans athletes. It is always a question that they are asked by a conservative, and then they answer the question, but they're not running on it. It's just their opinion. And again, El Sayed will have a good answer, but it doesn't even make sense to run on that. If you are running for Senate or House, you have literally no control over that. These sports have governing bodies. The NCAA has its own governing body. High school sports are governed by the state. It makes no sense for them to even have an opinion on any of this. They're asked and they give their opinion, but it's not like they're going to do anything. There's not going to be some sort of national ban. This is all going to be done on a local level. And the real answer is, like, we got to figure out a way to make sure that everybody can participate in sports in a way that's fair.
Arkansas flipped more recently than, other places.
Lisa said, hope this helps your little girl. Look, can you guys make up your mind, by the way, in the chat, whether or not Dolly Parton died? There's a real fight in the chat. She either did or she didn't. Jen, will you check?
Yeah.
when you come to Democratic
And
senators.
a guy named Clinton was governor.
And again, folks, I'll tell you this every time. In a southern state, if you take the share of the vote that comes from black voters and you raise it 5%, the Democrat wins. So if they can work with the NAACP and other folks to turn out a higher percentage of the vote, the contribution to the vote being 5% higher to black vote, she'll be the senator. And that may seem impossible, but it's 5%.
One other thing on Arkansas, though, the Governor Sanders has created an environment where you have actually a lot of industry and people moving into the state, like South Carolina. It's actually growing. Aerospace, obviously Walmart there as well. So
Jerry says RIP Dolly Parton. What does it say? Okay. People Magazine says that. Some people are saying TMZ. Okay. RIP Dolly. Legend.
changing demographics of more liberal folks or Democrats moving into these different states also, I think, will have an impact.
All right, the rest of this is just boring shit, so I won't cover that. But the main point I wanted to show there is that the Republicans that are running races, the Republican strategists and campaign managers, they're frustrated. They don't feel good. They are very bearish on what's going on, and they're bracing themselves for some really, really bad news. Some of you brought up South Carolina. I don't remember who it was that brought up South Carolina. That was Ty. Thanks, buddy. Let's talk about South Carolina. I don't know who's going to win. I think Darlene won like 35% of the vote. And what's the other guy's name? Why do I always forget his name? Ralph Norman. He got like 25% of the vote. Maybe it was like 33-25, something like that. So it's going to be a close runoff. We'll see. Darlene has had a tough time. And look, the Republicans want Darlene for one reason and one reason only. She will do what she's told. Ralph Norman is a super rich guy. He also does what he's told. He's also a psycho. But I do think that that the Republicans like Darlene because she's moldable. This is on Newsmax. This is Representative Timmons. And there has been an all-out effort by establishment Republicans to go out and just be like, no, she actually does know stuff. I know it seems like when you ask her questions, she doesn't know anything, but she actually does. Trust me, behind closed doors, her and I and Mitch McConnell talk about stuff, and they all know stuff. And they're all definitely on the up and up. We're not going to give any interviews. Darlene's not going to do any interviews that aren't pre-recorded. And she is going to continue to faceplant in every debate and in every scenario, but she totally knows stuff.
For giving a rather evasive response there. What is your confidence level in Darlene Graham when it comes to national security?
She is a great senator, and she will be a great senator for the next 6 years. I would turn that around and ask Ralph how much a loaf of bread is, or how much a gallon of milk is, or how much a gallon of gas is. He's worth $100 million. He doesn't know the answer to any of that. So,
are we rich shaming? Is the GOP rich shaming now? She just told a reporter not to record her. Get out of here. I'll look for that.
We need somebody that has middle America, real world experience. Darlene has to balance her checkbook every week. She knows what it's like going through Food Lion checkout and wondering if she has enough for everything. I mean, this is silly for us to talk about the South China Sea and Taiwan. The position is very simple. She needs to support the president. And
Not a cult.
Very simple. She needs to support the president.
Position is simple. Do what Trump says. They're just giving it away now. They're just saying it. There's we just want somebody in there that's a rubber stamp.
I mean, this is silly for us to talk about the South China Sea and Taiwan. The position is very simple. She needs to support the president, and she needs to support the military, and she'll learn the rest.
That's not a position. That's cuckery. What do you mean support the military? Support them how? What is she going to do to support the military? Is she going to take them out of harm's way? I doubt it. What he means is approve the military budget, which isn't going to give a raise to people in the military. It's just going to make a bunch of military contractors filthy fucking rich, and then do whatever Donald Trump says, because that's what your party is. It's just whatever Donald Trump says is the right thing. Dave says DSA does call for abolish police, but that doesn't mean who they endorse is running on that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know that that's part of the platform for the DSA, but I was trying to think of everybody who claims to be DSA. I think all of them that claim to be DSA aren't running on that position. And again, I might be missing somebody. I might be wrong, but I don't know if any of them are running on that position.
As she goes. But I think that what the American people care about is affordability. And there is not a senator that is better versed in that than Darlene Graham. And that's why she's going to continue to do an incredible job on behalf of South Carolina.
I don't know why she's so versed. She worked for the federal government for like 20 years. She ran like a government agency for 20. I don't know why she's like so qualified. Her Wikipedia is one of the most unimpressive things you'll ever see. I tried. I was like, what has she done? Let me show you her Wikipedia. Early life. She was born. Her mother died. Her father died. Lindsey Graham raised her and adopted her, taught her to spell her name. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Sociology. Career. By 2008, Graham had worked in the South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation Department. I don't even know. What does that even mean? I could find nothing on her. She helped run a work from home program for Time Warner. She also helped her brother during his Senate campaigns. Graham supported her brother's campaign for president. That's it. I don't know what makes her qualified. Here's the video you guys were talking about. Her getting upset about being recorded in South Carolina. Is South Carolina a two-party consent state? Let's see. One-party consent state. So even though I think there's protections for you recording a politician, you can do this even if it's not a politician.
Is your phone recording this? Yes, because I mean, it's a political event. There's always phones recording. So you're a politician, you know the drill.
It kind of does bother me that you're recording me. I'm gonna be honest without my phone. I am honest, but I just don't want to be honest.
I am honest. I just don't want to be honest on a camera. Because when I'm honest on camera, I look like a fucking idiot. I'm tired of looking like a fucking idiot. Did you see me at the debate when I was on camera? They kept asking me questions and I looked dumb. I don't like that very much. Can you please turn off your camera so I don't look like an idiot?
Yeah, it is. In South Carolina law, you're allowed to go in and record. All right. Well, thank you. Is your phone recording this?
True. One-party consent state. It's true. We looked that up. Monty Duh, thank you. Everybody welcome on Twitch from the Monty Duh raid. Always happy to have you guys here. I hope you stay for a long time. All right. There. Jessica says, no snark today. You're just super bonita. And I like you when you're bonita. Keep being bonita. MAGA have no penises, just enlarged clitoris and baloney nipples. Bitches. What a fucking comment. Jessica said it's not fair that Queen Dolly died and such a horrible person like Trump could outlive her. I want off this timeline. Fuck her. I don't even know what that is. The hell are baloney nipples? Like just big pieces of baloney? That's crazy. I don't know what to do with that. That's one of the funniest things I've read today. All right. Tim Scott. He's been out there running interference for Darlene as well. Good Lord. Tim Scott is a bot.
Good morning.
Tim Scott is a side. Like, this man is the most programmed person you'll ever see in your entire life. I love that they keep trotting him out on TV. This isn't good. If you're a Republican, I would recommend talking to your Republican friends and be like, yo, can we get Tim Scott the fuck off TV, please? This guy, it doesn't seem human at all. This is the least human I've ever seen.
To you, let's start right there. In South Carolina, you were campaigning for Senator Darlene Graham. As you know, she got a lot of attention this week during a debate when she was asked about a key national security issue. I want to play it. Get your reaction on the other side. Take a look.
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? And if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security. So,
yeah, because you're not qualified for any of this stuff.
But I do support the military. My brother was in the Air Force for 33 years, so I will do everything I can to support the military.
Again, I don't know what that means. I don't think Republicans support the military. I think Republicans support defense contractors. They have no problem putting you, if you are serving in the military, just like you think for 1 second they give a fuck if you get hurt? You don't think they'll put you in harm's way for no reason? I'm sorry. I don't feel like this president, this administration, I don't think they support the military. I think they do a lot of stuff for military contractors, and that's what she's going to do. Did you serve? Ah! Shut up. No, either did she. Did you ask her that? If I say I support the military, you're like, thanks. If I point out that they keep throwing you in harm's way, did you even serve? No, I didn't. No. And I wouldn't. God bless you if you serve. God bless you if you're serving. There is not a chance in hell I would sign up to go be part of this military, Trump's military. There's not a time in my life when I'm 40 years old. There's not a time in my life where I think it would have been a good idea to join the military. No matter what I was doing in the military, I'd be supporting some sort of genocide. Some sort of just murderous regime. No, I didn't serve. And I don't have a problem with any of you who served either, but like I just disagree that you were protecting us. You were told you were, and you probably believe that you were, and I love your intentions. And I do not fault you for your intentions, but you did not protect us. I think that our military intervention in the Middle East has made us far less safe over and over and over again. And I think we could demonstrate that pretty easily. Again, anybody who served, if you signed up to protect the country, great. If you felt like you were protecting the country, great. I don't think you were, and that's not a knock on you. It's a knock on leadership.
My dad was in the Army. I'm not a polished politician up here. National security is not my...
Oh, you can't criticize things if you haven't served? Well, then shut the fuck up about politics. What are you doing here? Have you ever podcasted? Have you ever held a live stream? Don't criticize me, please, John. You can't criticize me because you are not a live streamer. You have to shut up, okay? You have no grounds to criticize me right now for what I'm saying on this live stream. See how that's the same stupid logic? And for the record, like, if you served in the military, I don't think that makes you an expert on whether or not they're supporting you. I really don't. I think a lot of people in the military have no fucking idea how they're funded, where the funding is going, who's supporting them and who's not. If I went to my military friends and I said, who voted for the last funding bill and who didn't, guess what? They wouldn't know. It doesn't make you an expert. Now, if I was talking about military combat, if I were talking about military strategy, if I was talking about anything that involved like your specific job in the military, then you've got a good argument, right? Like, do I know what it's like to go through a village clearing it out? No, I don't. Do I know what it's like to operate drone strikes? No. Do I know what it's like to refuel a jet? No. There's a lot of stuff that I don't have experience on, and I don't talk about that. But like, what does supporting the military even mean? What are you upset with me for? I feel like I'm supporting the military right now. I advocate consistently that they don't just put military folks in harm's way for no fucking reason. And she's like, I support them. What does that mean? I will vote for the bills I am told to vote for.
Thing, not my area of expertise, but I do support the military.
Senator Scott, is Darlene Graham qualified to be a U.S. Senator?
Why are you smiling? Also, somebody said he smiles inappropriately. He smiles at the weirdest times. That's true. Amy said, remember in 4 years under Biden, we lost 16 soldiers and MAGA was crying. But so far, 83 in less than 2 years under Trump and nothing from MAGA. Identity politics much?
Well, there's no doubt, Kristen, that Darlene Graham is the real deal. One of the things I took away from Friday night's rally with President Trump did a fabulous job of making it personal. He talked about his amazing relationship with Lindsey Graham and how...
Why is she qualified? Let me tell you about Donald Trump and how amazing his speech was.
How much time Lindsey Graham spent running around the world trying to...
Then I'll tell you about her brothers some more. I'll tell you about Trump and her brother. It could not be more clear that she is nothing but a rubber stamp. And that's how they talk about her, as a rubber stamp. Why is she qualified? Let me tell you. She will do whatever we say.
Make sure that Americans were safe here at home, but mostly abroad as well. And then he pivoted to Darlene Graham, and he said some really important things.
Okay, very important, guys. Listen up. Everybody, stop what you're doing. It's very important.
Graham, and he said some really important things. I said earlier this year, 2026 is the year of affordability, and President Trump.
Wait, that's what you said. Okay, well, wait, what was the important thing he said? I said that 2026 is the year of affordability. Cool.
Nailed it when he said that Darlene Graham understands the issues facing Americans today and South Carolinians today, the issues of affordability. She goes to the grocery store. She understands the prices of eggs and meat and some of the challenges facing.
Yeah, everybody that goes to the grocery store understands the prices of eggs and meat. It's just there's just like a sticker. Congratulations. You're all as qualified as Darlene Graham. This was very important. Did you get that? Did you write it down? This was very important.
The American people. She focuses on helping people with disabilities for the last 30 years as her career. She is ready to take.
I think she ran a government agency for blind people. So she worked with blind people, and she can read stickers at a grocery store. All right. Michael Weggs, I think when you said, can you confirm where we lost 83 soldiers because we've only lost 18? I think in total. I don't think she's talking about just the Iran war. I can't. Somebody can confirm it. Jen, will you check? See how many soldiers have died since Trump took office?
On the issues that everyday Americans are facing. And Kristen, one other thing that's really important. I watched her on the campaign trail. I watched.
Oh, this part's very important too. He watched her
go through 2 funerals for her brother, and then I watched her carefully for 30 days in the Senate, casting deciding votes for the AG, working on.
Yeah, why is that very important? I watched her vote for the most corrupt attorney general of all time, who's covering up for the Epstein files. That was very important, and she went to both of her brother's funerals. So. Plus, remember, she can read stickers in supermarkets.
Getting her first bill passed, the Russia sanctions bill. What did I assess? Highly qualified, incredibly competent, ready for prime time. She's ready to tackle the issues of affordability for the American people, and she's ready to serve the great state of South Carolina in the United States Senate. I ask every Republican in South Carolina, vote Darlene.
Bro, he's such a fucking bot. He's such a fucking bot. I mean, he's reading this. This is all off a teleprompter. This is all prepared. He's such a fuck. They cannot point to a single thing that makes her qualified. They can't even point to a statement from her that would make you feel like I should vote for her. He literally said, you should vote for her because Trump said something important and I said something important, and she knows how much groceries cost. Amy said, got my numbers from Defense Casualty Analysis. Thank you. Electric Dad said Trump wouldn't join the military.
Graham on Tuesday.
That's a good point. He should shut the fuck up too, right? Whoever that was frustrated with me. Maybe not now because he's been commander-in-chief, but what about before that?
But Senator Scott,
also Darlene didn't serve, so she should shut the fuck up.
Should a U.S. senator have a basic understanding of national security issues?
Well, the answer is yes, and she does. The question we're asking ourselves today is whether or not she is prepared to serve in the United
No. Let's try this again, Tim.
Of national security issues.
Does she understand national security issues? That's the question you're asked.
Well, the answer is yes. And
the answer is no, she doesn't. There's no evidence that she does.
She does. The question we're asking ourselves today is whether or not.
Nope. The question that you're asking is, does she understand it? See the reframe from Republicans? This is when you know you've got a shit candidate. Let me just change the question and give you a generic answer.
She is prepared to serve in the United States Senate and represent the people of South Carolina on the issues that are germane to the moment. What are the issues of the moment? And is she prepared to hit those issues? She hits those.
Like national security? Like national security. That's one of the issues. right? Is she prepared for that? Obviously not.
Issues spot on. She hits the target bullseye. How does she do so? Because she's been listening to people across our state for more than 30 years. She ran a state agency for 7 years. She understands the critical issues of
Who's she been listening to for 30 years?
affordability. Frankly, she's actually gotten a vote on her bill passed through the Senate, signed into law, which is more than her opponent. So what we
Yeah, because you guys wrote it for her. You guys really think that she wrote that bill? They want her. She's a rubber stamp. They want her in. So they write a bill. They put her name on it. They know that it's going to pass. They push it through and they're like, look what she did.
know without question is Darlene Graham is ready to serve the United States of America starting here at home in South Carolina.
Yeah. I would stop trotting out Tim Scott. If my chances of winning depended on Tim Scott, I'd be like, fuck. Fortunately, in South Carolina, she's probably going to be okay. All right, this is the interview I was talking about. I have a bunch of clips. Jesse Waters brought on Abdul Syed, and it doesn't go well, but mostly because Jesse Waters is a dumb guy doing a Bill O'Reilly impression. I haven't watched that much of Jesse Waters outside of the Five. I haven't really seen his show for a while. I didn't know how much of a Bill O'Reilly impression he was doing. He is legitimately just pretending to be Bill O'Reilly on this show. But I'll say I'd crushed this interview. Remember, he's not a democratic socialist. And what Jesse Waters and Fox News want to do is they want this race to be about trans people and defunding the police. Now, he doesn't hold either of those views. And yet Jesse Waters wants to make this entire interview about that. Because he knows, like, those are difficult, nuanced discussions, and there's no real policy on a federal level to fix any of that. Remember, defunding the police would be a local policy. Same with any sort of, like, athletics. That's going to be on a local level. These aren't things that national candidates will even deal with. But that they want to make the entire campaign about that because what are they going to do? Make it about affordability? No. Economics? No. Got to help the farmers? No. Foreign policy? No. Just make sure to talk about people that Republicans hate. And that's what Jesse Waters tries to do this entire time.
The idea that the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. I just think the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. And if you're a minor, it's between
you want to
your
try
doctor
on
and your
kids?
parent. Now, if you disagree with that, if you disagree that health care decisions need to be made by a doctor and their parents and a patient, then we think we agree to disagree. But you want to put government inside.
So Abdul,
a clinic
you're
or
a doctor,
hospital
right?
Selectively. I am.
So you think it's okay for a parent to slash his kid's thing-a-ling off? You think that's okay?
I mean,
First of all, if you were to have that surgery, the parent would not be slashing it off. You'd probably be a doctor.
So do you really want to have this conversation? Are you circumcised?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a
Jesse,
personal question.
Okay.
Doctor.
Oh, it's personal if we ask what you do with your genitals. Oh, that's interesting. It's personal that we asked if you cut off the foreskin. That's personal. Your parents mutilated your genitals. That's personal. Because you don't identify as trans. But if a trans person does anything to their genitals, then suddenly it's your fucking business.
Probably should want to move on. You probably should want to move on.
Is circumcision's different than castration?
I think it's a problem. It's a problem that you think that you get to decide what happens between a parent, a doctor, and a patient. And I'm just saying that, yes, circumcision is surgery on a kid's ding-a-ling. So if you really want to bring that up, you can. I just think you guys are really selective about how you want to talk about these things.
Abdul, Michigan's not going for that. That is sick stuff.
That is such a Bill O'Reilly impression. It really is. Michigan's not going for what? What's sick stuff? That we don't need to be involved in everybody's medical decisions? That's sick stuff. Here he is being pushed on abolishing ICE. Which, for the record, abolish ICE. Absolutely. That doesn't mean that you are against immigration enforcement. It doesn't mean that you are pro-open borders. It means that ICE is an organization that was created to hunt down terrorists after 9/11, and they're clearly not doing that. They're barely hunting down violent criminals. Like 4% of the people they're arresting have like criminal record. So yeah, abolish ICE. Fuck ICE.
How much we agree on. I know I don't agree with you on this. You want to abolish ICE. Who's going to deport the criminal aliens from the country?
Well, you and I both know that long before we ever had ICE, we had INS. We were able to enforce our immigration policies without shooting people in the face and the back of the head. And we just celebrated our 250th anniversary. That was an anniversary of throwing away tyranny. Now, to bring that tyranny back under the guise of the U.S. government itself, that seems to me to be inconsistent with the freedom you and I both love.
Yeah,
and
but I mean, that's a dodge, Abdul. They did the same thing as ICE back then, INS.
No, they didn't. They didn't. That's why we made ICE. It wasn't the same. Look it up. ICE was a response to 9/11, and a response to our fears of Sharia law and Muslim terrorist cells. And that's who ICE was supposed to go after.
Yes. Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country
shoot
now?
People in the face and the back of the head.
Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country now?
Nobody knows the answer to that question, Jesse. There's not a human being on earth that knows how many undocumented immigrants are in the United States right now. You know why? Because they're not documented. So it's a guess.
To your point, Jesse, let me just answer the question. To your point,
how many do we have?
Fewer when we had INS. To your answer, we had
exactly.
far fewer when we had
exactly.
INS. So
we now have,
INS worked a lot better.
Abdul, listen, we had twice as many illegals now when we had INS.
So to your argument,
you have to have the manpower to do it.
If you want to do that correlation, we have ICE now, and we have far, far more undocumented people. So ICE is clearly...
Whoops! When we had INS, we had half. Now we have ICE, and we have double. Again, it was stupid for him to even make this comparison because ICE and INS don't control the border. They're not responsible for asylum seekers. They're not responsible for patrolling the border. They're not responsible for people overstaying work permits. They're not responsible for any of that. But if you're going to draw that correlation, then couldn't you then say like, oh, if we have more now and we used to have INS and now we have ICE, then ICE is the problem. That would be wrong. That wouldn't be my argument. But that's how dumb Jesse Waters is.
Not working. It's just shooting like American citizens in the face and the back of the head. So if you're okay with that,
illegals are shooting people in the face too.
To disagree.
Abdul, you got a guy in Michigan.
So are American citizens.
You got a guy.
Look,
let me just say something, okay?
To get back to the conversation about the broader issues.
Okay.
Well, you cut me off, Jesse, and you said we're going to have a good conversation. So I'd like to do that. I just want to answer the point. When I travel the state, and I have traveled my state, more people are asking me about how they're going to afford their gas and groceries. They're not asking me about immigration.
Well, they also don't want to.
Nobody is. Like, the only people that are focused on that are commentators. That's it. People in this country care about gas prices. They care about groceries. They care about the cost of housing. They care about how much money we're spending on a war. They care about whether or not we're going to support a genocide. And we get to that now here with Jesse and El Sayed.
So the question, again, like Jesse, you have not asked me one time about the issues that people actually care about.
William said, are you circumcised? I don't know if that's a question for me or not, but yeah.
About in Michigan. You don't want to talk about gas prices. You don't want to talk about groceries. You don't want to talk about health care. You don't want to talk about the stupid trade war that's about to destroy Michigan's economy.
We spent the whole interview talking about that stuff.
That's destroying, that is destroying our own military. You don't seem to want to talk about any of those things. You want to bring up all this culture war that, I'm not here to fight a culture war.
We talked about the war. We talked about gas prices and the Green New Deal, okay? If you want to do an interview,
I brought them up every time.
You can do the interview.
Love that. I brought them up every time. You want to talk about anything other than what really affects Americans. And there's a reason for that. If the conservatives, if the Republicans had good arguments, Jesse would have whoever's hand is up his ass, working his mouth, using those arguments. But he doesn't. And they don't. And so he's going to talk about trans people and immigrants. They're just going to demonize with this culture war shit. And look, the culture war shit, like, you can have the discussion if you want to. But I don't think most people give a shit about it, honestly. We're at a point now where, like, our country goes in one of two directions. We either just, like, hand everything off to the billionaire class and say, fuck it, or have massive change, and we make things more affordable for everybody, and we make things more equal for people across the board. That's the pivot we're at right now. And I just don't think most Americans want to be are super pumped about going, you know what, fuck it. Let Elon and Zuckerberg and Bezos, let them run the world. Let them run the country. We don't give a shit. I just don't think people want to do that.
You're asking me, like, you're doing the greatest hits, Jesse. Like, I mean, this is, like, you could play this game if you want, but, like, you can keep doing the greatest hits if you want. You told me we're going to come on for a conversation, and when we have conversations, I think it's okay to also ask questions. I just want to understand what you're getting at here.
I'm getting at whether you think men should play in women's...
Guys, mods, can you get Dan HZ H4Z8B? 5-minute mute for you, Dan. He's not a socialist, and you have to stop incorrectly labeling people just because you're too stupid. So in the 5 minutes that you have here, Dan, where you can't say shit, I want you to Google what his policies are, and I want you to Google whether or not he is a democratic socialist. You got 5 minutes for that. Becca Wow, thank you so much for the gifted subs. Big W, Becca Wow sent, I think, how many gifted subs? Bunch of gifted subs. Thank you so much.
Senator in Michigan,
it's a big issue.
I'm interested in getting money out of politics, putting money in your pocket, and passing Medicare for all.
You're filibustering,
most people don't care about what sports kids play.
You keep talking about things that Americans like instead of talking to me about trans people and immigrants. How dare you?
And
You're
also,
filibustering.
I'm just
it's a big issue.
Because, like, I want to talk.
It's not. It's just not a big issue. There's 10 trans athletes in the NCAA, which is not governed by the United States Senate. It's not a big issue. It's a very, 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 very tiny issue that needs to be dealt with by these governing bodies. It's not. It's only a big issue when you are a party that has nothing else.
Kind of lost on that issue last time.
Deserve to hear about.
All right, so you want to answer that question?
What issue?
You want to answer the question?
What issue? Go ahead, Jesse. What issue?
0.02%. Thank you.
Men play women's sports. You have daughters, right?
I think that, look, I played sports my whole life. Sports were an important part of my life. I'm grateful for the opportunity to play sports. And at the end of the day, the decision of who gets to play what sports ought to be decided by the people who govern sports. I'm running for U.S. Senate. Jesse, it's insane. I'm out here trying to take on, like, the healthcare crisis in Big Pharma, and you're asking me about who gets to play what sports. It's silly. People can't take you seriously.
It's kind of a big thing if you've been following the news recently.
It's not. It's only a big thing on Fox.
Abdul, let me ask you about the politics. We'll get to your race.
Guy campaigning with the DSA is not a socialist? Correct. That's correct. He's campaigning with people that are members of the DSA because they have overlapping beliefs. There's policy that they both believe in, and so he's working with people who don't agree with him 100%. I know that that's shocking. Like, if you're on the right and you are used to just, like, deep-throating everything Donald Trump says and requiring everybody to just fall in line, I know that's confusing for you. But over here on the left, like, there's a lot of disagreement. I'm not a socialist. I would venture that a majority of my audience is. I'm not a democratic socialist. I would venture that the majority of the audience is. Why do they like me? Because we agree on some things. We agree on Medicare for all. We agree on a more progressive tax policy. We agree on how to fix education. We agree on breaking up monopolies. We don't have the same ideology. We don't have the same economic, like, we don't believe in the same economic theory, but we want the same things. I know that's confusing for you guys. It's all or nothing over there. I know it's confusing, and I'm trying to help you understand. Like, you don't have to watch this and be so fucking confused. There's a reason that it seems like it's mixed messaging, because it is. Because Democratic socialists are different than El Sayed, and El Sayed is very different than Chuck Schumer, and they're all in one party. Yeah, it's like people with similar beliefs can coexist. I know. Who would have thought?
Your race right now.
Please be serious. Like, I'm here with you. I want to have a conversation about the issues that matter.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the things that people are actually talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Great point. I'm going to get back to El Sayed in a second, but I wanted to show you because Fox is on an all-out, like, rampage trying to turn this election, make it about trans people. They had on Enes Kanter, which is Enes Kanter. Fuck that guy. This is what I hate about this whole fucking argument. And if you guys were honest, you would agree. The right consistently says we don't want men in women's sports, specifically the WNBA, where there are no men in that sport. And conservatives everywhere are like, we're protecting women. No men in women's sports. There aren't any. And so your solution to that is to have Enes Kanter and Royce White, who both, by the way, were below average NBA players. Kanter was much better than Royce White. Royce White was like too afraid to fly. I don't even know, like, I don't even remember like if he had a scoring average. He may not have even had a scoring average. Now they're like, I'm going to join the WNBA to prove a point. And the WNBA is like, you're men. You can't be in our league. And you're like, we don't want men in women's sports. Like, what the fuck are we watching here? They won't let you in. Enes Kanter was thrown out of the fucking arena the other day. You are the only people trying to put men in women's sports. The only fucking ones. I don't understand your goddamn argument. I think you want it. You're the only people who want men in women's sports. Thank you. It's not a political issue. It shouldn't be a political issue, but Republicans are the ones trying to force men into women's sports to prove a point that progressives want men in women's sports. And the progressives are like, no, you can't join our sports. And they're like, well, I identify as a woman. And they're like, that's not how this shit works. And they're like, it's that easy. You just identify as a woman and then you're in the league. Obviously you're not, right? Right, bitch? Because you're not in the league, are you? Why? Because you're not a woman. That's why. And then there was this. I just wanted to fact check this because this is going around everywhere. And Republicans are just goddamn parrots. They'll repeat anything, including this.
What's your response?
My response is that the WNBA has been struggling with defining a woman, and it really is only a matter of time.
They haven't.
And actually, in the past, there was a woman, I'm forgetting.
There wasn't.
A trans woman who was in the WNBA. I think his name was Lachey. I can't.
You want to talk about struggling to define something? Let's go back here real quick.
WNBA has been struggling with defining a woman, and it really is only a matter of time. And actually, in the past, there was a woman, I'm forgetting.
Woman. There was a woman.
A trans woman who was in the.
A trans woman. There was a woman, a trans woman.
In the WNBA, I think his name was Lachey.
His name. Whoops. There was a woman, a trans woman, his name. I think you guys are the ones that are struggling. You're getting these pronouns all fucked up.
I cannot remember exactly, but it is an issue if you can't define what a woman is for the WNBA. And
seems to be. They can. It seems like they can. By the way, I don't remember her last name. It's the name is Laisha. She was assigned female at birth. I don't even know what she's talking about. She came out as, I think, non-binary. And I believe at one point identified as a trans man, not a trans woman. This seems to be the party of people who can't figure out what the fuck a woman is. You guys are trying to tell us that this is a woman. This person's trying to tell us that somebody who was assigned female at birth was a man. It seems like you guys are the ones that are all fucked up on gender. I'm good with it. Like, trans woman, the word woman, got it. If you are a trans woman, you are a woman. If you're a trans man, you're a man. If you're a woman, you're a woman. If you're a man, you're a man. That's easy. That's just how words work. You know, I think this is the thing. Like, it's so convoluted over there. And they can't even keep it straight. Like, she's saying woman over and over and over again. And there's like, oh, wait, I forgot. I'm supposed to be a bigot. His name. She got that wrong. She literally got every part of this wrong. All for this fake fucking war on or not fake culture war that honestly most people don't give a shit about. If there was a trans woman in the WNBA, nobody would really care. It would just be Fox News that cared and a bunch of dipshits who have never watched the NBA or WNBA in their life that would care.
And it also is reflective of the times that we're in.
What's your response?
My response is
define woman without using the word woman. Yeah, I assume you're talking to them, right? Talking because these are people that are using the word. When you ask them to get it right, like when you correct them, when they get it right, we can start talking about it. I have no problem with it. Amy said, inadequate, insecure, subpar men have fake outrage about men in women's sports. Yeah, and then try and join. I don't remember what was it that Enes Kanter got removed from the NBA for. I actually think, do I remember right? Did Enes Kanter support like a good cause, something that we agreed on? I don't remember. I feel like it might have been. What was it? Oh, that's right. He's from Turkey, and he was critical of Erdogan. That's what it was. And he got a bunch of pushback. That's what it was. He was critical of Erdogan. Red X Man said, same ideology say black folks were 3/5 of a man. They just figured out we're humans. They just figured out we're humans were not too long ago. Thank you, Andreas, for joining the dollar train. Appreciate that. See there. I think I got that. Stacy said, after Dolly, is there anyone left that everyone in the country agrees on? Legend. I don't know. Is there somebody in this country that everybody likes? It used to be Ken Jennings, I think. Yeah, and then he went all right wing and made his whole personality about yelling at LeBron about China. Oh yeah, there was that thing. That's right. He criticized LeBron about China, which was a good criticism. That was a fair criticism too. I thought it was fair. Like if you're going to criticize, all these other places, and they'd be like, China's actually they don't do anything wrong. Yeah, that's a fair criticism too. He had some good takes, but good Lord, this is a tough one. I think he just needed some attention. He reminds me a lot of a former MMA fighter. Well, I guess he's still an MMA fighter, Dylan Dennis, that just like needs to be in the spotlight all the time. So is consistently trying to find some sort of controversy. And sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. This is one that is stupid. This is the dumbest position to take. All right, back to El Sayed and Jesse Waters. Once again, proving that remember, El Sayed is not a socialist, and Jesse Waters doesn't know what socialism is.
What are you going to do with more money? I mean, whatever I want.
I mean, Jesse, I don't know how much you make.
I'm not a billion.
Make, I think I'd rather have. Well, yeah, look, so that's exactly it, right? The question ultimately is, do you want to drive on good roads, or would you rather have a billionaire make a second billion? That's a
good question. Would you rather have good roads or have a million? You tell me, Republicans. Would you rather drive on good roads or have a billionaire make another $1 billion? If it came down to that choice, we can fix the roads by taxing billionaires, or the billionaire gets another $1 billion. These are going to be like the cuckiest fucking answers. Yeah, I think he needs it. He needs that money. Fuck it. I'll just drive through potholes. Fuck my car. If you can't avoid potholes, you shouldn't be driving. Roads don't need fixing. Yeah.
Mike Rogers wants.
Priorities do. Well, for some places, road is a priority, right?
That's what Donald Trump wants. Apparently, that's what you want. I think the people in Michigan want something different.
Dems are finished. Yeah, I finished earlier, but that was on your dad's face, and I got a round 2 coming up later.
They want good roads and good schools.
So you're saying Beyonce, who just became a billionaire, she has to break you off something every year? She has to.
This is my favorite part. I'm sorry. Jesse Waters doesn't know how anything works at all.
You're saying Beyonce, who just became a billionaire, she has to break you off something every year? She has to pay the politicians.
What do you think Jesse Waters thinks taxes are? What do you think? Does Jesse think that taxes just go into politicians' pockets? Here you go. I finished on a guy's face. Yeah, I did. Listen, if you're new here, this is a good gig. I like what I do, but I have bills to pay, and I've had a bunch of court fees I have to pay sometimes, and we all have side hustles. We all have jobs we don't like to do. Mine is fucking MAGA dads, and they pay well. I have pretty competitive rates, and it gives them an opportunity to do the closeted stuff that they love doing, so that they can then go and rail about it on Facebook. Ironically, I rail them, and then they rail about people on Facebook. That's how it works. Yeah, so welcome to the show.
It's not me. It's the American public.
You're
Beyonce,
the one that wants the money.
To be able to control.
He doesn't know. I honest to God, does he not know how taxes work? Does Beyonce have to give you money? No. You want it. Yeah, but like for taxes, right?
Contribute back to the public schools that she went to. I think she'd be happy to invest in good roads in her community. I think she'd be happy to pay a little bit more.
Jesse. Yeah, right. Rich people don't want to benefit their community. I know. I'm a rich guy.
That everybody had a little bit more.
You're reaching a little deep into the pockets,
to be defending
Abdul.
billionaires from your channel, Jesse. That's a crazy thing. I thought you were for. I'm just saying. Look, at the end of the day, I thought you were for the everyday man. Like if you're for billionaires more than you're for every other person, well, you and I are just going to disagree.
No, I just think I have the right to the fruits of my own labor. That's America.
You do. That sounds like socialism. You want to own your labor, Jesse? Is Jesse Waters a closet socialist? I just think that the workers should own their own labor. Whoops. Fucking whoops, Jesse. You accidentally just advocated for socialism. I wish Abdul Sayed would have caught this, but whoops. Yeah, we think that too. We think workers should own their labor. We don't think billionaires should own people's labor. They should own their labor.
It's not communist what you're talking about.
No, the problem
Let
with
me
it,
ask
Jesse,
you
is
about
you and I both know.
socialized health care.
More like communist what you're talking about, Jesse.
Billionaires don't make money. And let me just answer the question.
Sure.
No. Let me go back to that.
Go ahead.
Billionaires don't make their money off of their labor. That, I think, is where you head off. Billionaires that make their money off their money. So if you have $1 billion, your billion makes another 100 million. That's not the fruits of your labor. That's just the fruits of your money making money. I think it's okay. Like if we tax you at 7%, you're still gonna make what, a cool $30 million off your $1 billion. I think it's okay. They're gonna be okay, Jesse.
Yeah,
I
just
Oh, those poor widows. They're only going to make the $40 million. Oh, this is so very sad.
Oslo said, if I ever get the misfortune to be a guest on Jesse Waters' show, I promise I will use the line, listen, Jesse, from one puppet to another.
I just don't like the idea of politicians like you capping how much money people make in America. That's just me. We can have the voters in Michigan decide.
Yeah. Socialist Jesse Waters. Here was, and I'm sorry, we're on this. This was such a good interview. It was such a mismatch that it might take up not the rest of the show, but it's going to take up a while. I apologize. Here, talking about his opponent, Mike Rogers. And in all fairness, I guess Jesse Waters just doesn't know he's getting torched. Good for him for sticking in. But clocking that Mike Rogers doesn't want to run against Abdul Sayed. He wants to run against Hassan Piker is a W here.
Are you glad the Ayatollah is dead?
Yeah.
Sending in hopes that you have to rail less MAGA dance this week. Thank you, Christina. And thanks, guys. We did knock out the gift goal, and I appreciate you guys being overachievers.
I mean, look, he was a terrible person, but that's beyond the point. The bigger question is, should we have gone to war in the first place? Look, I just want to be clear with you, right? I mean, I'm never going to defend the Iranian regime, but I am going to defend the idea that we probably shouldn't be fighting wars we don't know how to get out of. Oopsie, you go to war and you tell us that it's going to be a special military operation. That was in February. We're now in September almost, and we're still fighting the special military operation. I mean, it's not working for us, Jesse.
We're not really
this
fighting
is exactly
it.
what happens when you've got a dunce in the White House who doesn't know.
We're not fighting it. It's a blockade. We just don't have any munitions left, but it's just a blockade.
What he's doing.
So you'd go back in time, you'd give them back their nuke program, you'd give them back their Air Force, their Navy.
No, I'd go
because the
back,
nuke program's
I'd go back to the
buried
time
under
when we
America.
Sorry, guys. I just have to read this. So basically, because this is such a good point by Tommy Carr. So basically, let's just finish up with this. Democrats are lazy people who want the government to take care of nothing's free. It's going to cost you with the communism, and it will destroy America. Oh, man, that was close, though. I appreciate that effort. That was close. You almost made wrote sentences that made sense. That was a good try. Now you sit there and say we don't have no elimination, love. How do you know? Did you go in that warehouse and do an inventory? See, once again, it's Democrats' lies. You're doing great. Keep going. Let's keep reading all of your fucking messages. Stay here forever. Never leave us. You are my Tommy Carr. You are my new favorite person. Keep typing, please. Never stop. I need you. I want you. Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
Peace, and we actually had nuclear containment. Now, Jesse, you like to, I mean, look, I understand selective memory about history, but we had a JCPOA that was well negotiated, that actually had nuclear non-proliferation far more securely than what we have right now after having gone to war for the better part of 6 months.
Yeah, I like the fact that the nuke program's buried under a mountain of rubble. They can't even get access to it, but that's me.
Wait, I thought it was just a blockade, Jesse. 4 seconds ago, it was just a blockade, and he's like, I actually like that we bombed the fuck out of them.
think we'll figure it out. The thing you said about
so let's just stop there. So
Sure.
Jesse, wait. I understand you're not good at math. I get that. I'll give you that. But science, we got to talk about science, okay?
Yeah.
You understand that nuclear material doesn't just go away because you buried it under a mountain of rubble. You understand they can still go back and bury it out, right?
Yeah,
You
we're
get
watching it from Space
Right.
Force.
So
and
we're
anybody.
Satellites, Jesse. Satellites. We're watching it from Space Force. Dude, you sound like an Antifa jerk. Get help, man. I did get help. Your dad gave me $40. Ironically, also for a jerk. Thanks, Darren.
more secure than we were back then.
Okay, let's move on. You said getting rid of Sharia law was white supremacy. Let's roll the tape. Go.
I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
So getting rid of Sharia law is white supremacy. Can you explain that one?
Where did it hurt you, Jesse? Where did the Sharia law hurt you?
Do you know what canon law is, Jesse? I assume you're Christian, right?
Yeah, tell me.
All right, so canon law is the name for Christian law. I don't begrudge you your right to practice your faith as you choose. I don't know why the idea that I could practice my faith as I choose is a problem. Nobody is trying to push Sharia law on anyone else, just like I hope nobody is trying to push canon law on anybody else. Because
It's interesting. You know, it's interesting. If you didn't want this to be like white supremacy, if you didn't want to acknowledge that perhaps the opposition to Sharia law is because of white supremacy, perhaps you should also oppose other religions who have laws like Christianity and Judaism. And maybe it should just be like blanketly like, hey, I don't think that you should take your religious laws and make it the law of the land. If you choose a religion that is predominantly made up by black and brown people, it feels like white supremacy.
Living in America where you should have the freedom of your religion. So the idea that you have somebody like Tommy Tuberville, right, who, barely was good at coaching football, is out here trying to ban Sharia
Natalie said, great show. Thanks, Natalie.
law when there's less than 1% of the Muslim community in America, as if somehow Muslims are out here trying to push Sharia law. That seems to me to be deliberately targeting the Muslim community because they're different. And I'm just saying that, like, I have no issue with people practicing their faith. In fact, I would never want somebody to push their faith on me, and I would never want to push my faith on somebody else.
Yeah, I've only had Christians knock on my door to sell me on their faith. Yeah, Brian. Sorry about that, by the way. If you lived in Spokane, Washington, or the surrounding areas between December of 2005 and December of 2007, my bad if I knocked on your door and tried to sell you some Jesus. I deeply regret it.
No one wants you to get rid of your religion.
And so the idea,
no one wants that.
So, but when people preemptively go out there and start preemptively passing laws to ban something that's not happening, what you're trying to do is target a very small community because they're different. And this operates. I mean, look, I'm just going to say, there's statistical evidence that the president and the vice president like to target me.
Scary.
Simply,
Well, I'm not scared of the Sharia law. Sharia law makes me very, very nervous.
Why? For the record, I'm not afraid of Sharia law. As far as I can tell, Sharia law in this country is practiced by people who want to follow Sharia law. And not once has anybody tried to make me follow Sharia law. In fact, I've been in places where people pray. I've seen Muslims pray. They didn't stop praying and be like, you got to do this with us. I'm not afraid of it. I think all religion is a little strange, for the record. I was at a Mormon church this last Sunday. There's some it's weird to me, like the sacrament, that's weird. They're like, Mormons are a little different. I know, like with Catholics, it's like they really believe that the bread like turns into the flesh and the wine turns into the blood of Christ, which I don't know why Catholics are cannibals. That never made a great deal of sense to me. I missed that part in the Bible. Like, you got to actually eat Jesus. It's super important that you have bites of Jesus or your sins are going to stay with you. We like Mormons do it in remembrance of And then they just pass this tray around with bread, and everybody's fingers go in it, and you have to have a piece of bread. It's weird. I think religion is strange to me, and if it's not strange to you, great. But maybe you can do your religion, and I can just choose not to, and we don't just target one religion as if somehow Islam is worse than other religions.
Function of my faith.
You know, it's like men aren't equal from women.
Fuck the host. He doesn't live here. You got to pay me for that, and you better be a MAGA dad. I don't know what you mean by that. I do live here. I am right here. If you mean here like the United States, that's incorrect. I do live in the United States of America, Arizona to be exact. And tell your dad I said what's up, and sorry about the pink eye. Your uncle is like a ATM kind of guy, and I forgot to wash off before because your dad was so eager, and so tell him I'm sorry.
It's like physical
you like to say the word. Look, Jesse, look,
people don't
like to say the word.
Don't look up ATM.
I'm just saying,
because
I don't think that's a good position.
And scary. Nobody's pushing it. No, but Jesse, nobody's pushing it. You know what the issue is in America, in Michigan?
What?
The issue that people are worried about is not that somehow somebody's going to come and push Sharia law on them. The issue in Michigan is people are worried about how they're going to afford their gas. The issue in Michigan is how am I going to see a doctor when I get sick? How am I going to keep my job? You're out here, honestly, you guys love to play this culture war game where you use these words that sound really foreign to avoid actually having to talk about the issues that everyday people like to talk about. Now, look, Mike Rogers is the guy I'm running against for U.S. Senate, and I know you've had him on your show. Maybe he answers questions. I don't know if he does.
I've actually never had him on.
Only, but look, you haven't. So he's ducking your show too because he's ducking. Look, can we all agree? Like,
I haven't
Jesse,
invited
you and I
him
are
on.
going to have a debate, right? Can we all agree that Mike Rogers is a beta? Can we all agree with that?
I haven't even had him
Dude won't
on.
even come on your show because he's afraid of getting grilled.
I actually think that's cringy as shit. I hated this part. I hate that shit, but that's fine. It's just, Abdul said likes it, and it probably plays well to a Fox News crowd. I hated that. I thought that was cringy.
I will have him on.
That guy,
and I'm sure it'll be great. But Abdul,
Jesse, let me just
can
say,
I back up
he's
for
out
1
here
second?
trying to talk about my.
Can I back up for 1 second?
Finish my point. I'll finish. I
yeah,
swear I'll be quick.
Okay, because Mike Rogers isn't here to defend himself.
He thinks he's running against Hassan Piker. Well, maybe then he'll actually come on your show. Maybe I'm doing you a favor then. But the guy's a beta, doesn't like to answer questions, and he dodges every debate. So I'm pretty sure he's going to dodge you too.
Need Mike Rogers on the show, but thanks
all I'm going to say is this.
Thanks for booking it. You know, I agree. Gas prices are too high. Gas prices are too high. Abdul, pipe down 1 second. Gas prices are too high. Green New Deal's not going to help that. You said that we get to keep our doctor.
I just want to point out that I think if this was reversed, like if this was Anderson Cooper and this was pick any Republican and Anderson Cooper said, pipe down, they would lose their fucking shit. And Dano, you're not helping. Who cares? I love that by Abdul Said. Like, he's got a good mindset. He just laughed. He's like, that's fine. It's no big deal. Who cares? He said pipe down. It's fine.
I've been told that before. We were lied to. So let's move on.
All right. Okay. I'm going to skip it. Well, I just want to do this. Fuck it. I loved Frasier. I loved the show Frasier. I didn't know Kelsey Grammer was a Republican. I don't care what I don't care about any of these people, but I just want to point out that in order to be a Republican, you have to be stupid and you have to not understand anything. Otherwise, it's going to be a very confusing time. And here's just one quick example before we get off Fox News of a dipshit Republican talking to a dipshit Republican, circle jerking each other about dipshittery.
An open border work.
It doesn't work.
That doesn't work.
Doesn't work. We've had Social Security forever. It's always out of money. And
It's never out of money. Social Security has never been out of money. It's not. We're not running out of money. There's plenty of money in Social Security. None of this is true. There is a trust, and the trust is running out of money because capitalists decided to take some of that money in Social Security and try and invest it to prove a point. And it's not working. That's running out of money. But Social Security is funded. And if the trust runs out of money, you will still get 80% of your benefits. And you can thank Republicans for fucking you over and not getting 100% of your benefits. But Social Security is not and has not been out of money.
It's the greatest socialist program we have in our country.
It is one of the greatest socialist programs that we have in our country, and it's been very effective. It lifted like 40% of America out of poverty. Name one fucking thing a conservative has ever done in this country that lifted 40% out of poverty.
Nobody wants to lose it, but it doesn't work right. When 62,000
It does work
Social
right.
Security Administration employees. Why?
Because it takes a lot of employees to make sure people are getting their benefits and to enroll them and to make sure payments get out. That's why. There's 350 fucking million people in this country, and everybody that's working is paying into Social Security, and we got to make sure that people are getting their Social Security, and people that shouldn't get Social Security do get their Social Security. And every single day in this country, some thousands of people become eligible for Social Security, and thousands of people die. Maybe not thousands every day. I mean, I don't know how many people are born and die every day, whatever that number is. Why is conservatism just asking questions that you could Google and then coming to a conclusion like the answer that the questions are unanswerable?
Why would we just allow people to invest 12% of their income themselves?
Don't I have an Antifa riot paid by Soros to go to host? No, I've got a human centipede party where I'm gonna fuck your dad and all of his friends that I have to go to after this, and to tell them thank you in advance. For the money, and to let them know I also accept tips, and they will be accepting my tip and the shaft if they want that too.
And retire on it. They'd all be millionaires.
Well, how about Trump gets 300,000 people to leave the federal workforce? Has anyone noticed any changes?
Yes. Yeah. Every fucking part of our government has gotten worse. You don't notice because you're rich as shit. You don't notice because you're rich as shit. But yeah. Everybody has noticed.
I mean, that's just 300,000. It's the lowest number of federal workers since the early 60s, Kelsey. And as far as I can tell, everything should be going as it always has. I have to.
Yeah, it's not, though, right? Like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're not able to take any claims. It's just dead. Nobody's able to claw back their money from predatory banks because it's just dead. The IRS is sitting on like about $1 trillion a year in unpaid taxes because we don't have enough IRS agents. We can't audit rich people because we don't have enough agents to audit rich people. It's by design. Yeah, things are going poorly. It's not going well. Anyways, thanks, Kelsey Grammer. Work your magic and put Jay's face to the and the I don't know what that says. I don't even know what that means. I probably don't want to know what that means. Okay. I want to go to Iowa. Shout out Iowa, which we argued about this earlier, but I think Iowa is going blue. Brooke Rollins went to Iowa, went to the fair, and then held a impromptu press conference with both herself and Ben Carson and others. And she wants you to know that Donald Trump actually, even though like Iowa, perhaps more than any state, Iowa has been hit by Trump's tariffs. And she just wants you to know that it's okay. Trump actually, even though he's fucked you over, he actually is doing what's best for you.
You mentioned farmers and ranchers multiple times. Republican Senator Tom Cotton says that rolling back tariffs on beef is an ill-advised action. We have heard cattle ranchers are also outraged about this. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, I was in Iowa on Friday doing a data modernization roundtable and did a press conference after at the Iowa State Fair. And not surprisingly, the first, second, third, and fourth question.
I apologize. This was in D.C. after they got back.
Was on the beef announcement Friday morning. So a couple of really important points. And then
the beef announcement, by the way, if you're not familiar, we're going to import a bunch of beef from Argentina. We've fucked over the cattle ranchers here. And now we don't have enough beef. And in order to lower prices on beef, we have to import it from Argentina.
If Secretary Kennedy or even Governor Pillen,
maybe horse beef, you might be right about that,
who comes from the #1 beef state, I certainly want to give him a chance to respond to. Elizabeth, good to see you. So the first thing I'll say is this, that in American history, I don't know that you could ever find someone that is more pro-rancher, pro-farmer, pro-rural America than this president.
I think I could walk outside blindfolded and meander around, and the first person I bumped into would be more pro-rancher than Donald Trump. And I don't think I could find somebody less pro-rancher than Donald Trump. He has decimated the beef industry in this country. It is fucking crazy. This is such an abusive relationship that Republicans have with Donald Trump. He just abuses you over and over, and then they're like, he's actually doing what's best for you. And you're like, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I do know that beef prices are at all-time highs, and now we're importing beef from Argentina that literally nobody else wants to buy. But he is good. That is good for American farmers. He's very pro-American farmer.
And I think that's important context in the middle of this discussion.
You mentioned farmers.
All right, let's keep moving through Iowa. This is why, and look, for the record, this is why I think Iowa is going blue. There is no answer for the people of Iowa. Here's a former Trump voter being questioned at the Iowa State Fair about what she would say to Donald Trump.
Trump right now. Resign. That is what I would tell him. Used to be, no matter where you drove, they did it on the corn bales or the hay bales, everything. Trump, Trump, Trump. Every place you went, because we are Republican where we're from. You don't see any now. Driving down here is a 3-hour drive for us, and I'll bet you in a course of time we probably saw 30 different signs stuck in the ground, out in the cornfield, whatever. You don't see any of them.
We've also heard expressions of frustration about.
All right. Resign. The left don't like critical thinkers. You don't have any critical thinkers in your party. Shut the fuck up. What I mean by critical thinker is whatever Donald Trump says, I say it's true. And if you disagree, I say you're not a critical thinker. Use your common sense. Here's Ben Carson. I just thought this was weird. I don't really have that much of a criticism here, but here's Ben Carson at this weird ass meeting.
Not too many months ago, Secretary Rollins and I went to a school, and we were giving the children whole milk. They were just so amazed. They said, I didn't know milk could taste this good.
I doubt they were amazed.
And what if we introduced them to food fresh from the ground?
Yeah, what if we stopped decimating farmers? What if we stopped giving massive subsidies and tax breaks to factory farms that undercut farmers? What if your food was grown locally? You can't. Nobody can make money on a small family farm anymore. Yeah, what if we did that?
Teaching them, making these relationships with the farmers so they learn about the soil, they learn about irrigation, they learn about the effect that has on the crop.
And then do you teach them about how if you decide to be a farmer, you're going to get fucked in the ass by Republicans and they're going to make it so that it's completely impossible for you to make money as a farmer? Are you going to tell them that part too? Farming is good. Food from the ground is good. You can't afford it. Here, enjoy these frozen chicken patties.
They get an opportunity to eat a tomato fresh off the vine. It's a different food than you get in the store, quite frankly. Fresh sweet corn and hot dogs.
Well, I don't know about the hot dog part. Ben Carson's a fucking weirdo. I just thought that was weird. Here's Iowa governor candidate Rob Sand. He's a Democrat running, and this is why I think he's going to win as governor. He's 12 years old, I think, and also has a family. But this type of politics works in Iowa. This is what Iowans want to hear. I will vote. I will vouch for Iowa. Of all the places I've lived, and I've lived in 27, 28 states, something like that, I've never dealt with nicer people than the people in Iowa, ever. And I've worked there in two different industries, and I worked there running when I was working for Mitt Romney on his presidential campaign. Even the people that didn't like me were fucking nice. So this type of messaging works in Iowa. I agree this doesn't work everywhere, but it would sure be nice if we could get back to this.
We talked about my opponent just a little bit, and I think that that's a good thing.
Except for Casey. Casey is the meanest person in Iowa. She's, I'm guessing she's a transplant.
There is one thing, though, that I want you to understand about him more than anything else. It's more important for you to remember this over the next 2.5 months than any other one thing that you remember about him. So here it is. He's a human being. Politics is oftentimes pretty stupid.
I would have loved to hear some applause right there. It would have been nice if people were like, yeah, hell yeah. That would have been cool. That's what like MAGA has done. It affects everybody. I started this show telling you guys like part of my personal life a little bit. And I had a conversation with somebody close to me in my life yesterday. And the toxicity of politics or the toxicity of some people in your life bleeds into your life, and you kind of have choices. You can let that toxicity eat you up and you become part of it, or you can do your very best to stand up against that toxicity. And every time I do this, I get a bunch of shit from a lot of people, and that's fine. But it's uncomfortable for people when they step back. It was uncomfortable for this group of people for him to be like, hey, my opponent is a human. So that's what I'm saying. Like, not going to lie, it might be too soon. I agree with that, but this is like, that's the environment that we've been living in for years. I can tell you, like, it's a hard part in my own personal life to let go of toxic behavior and not let that affect you, especially when you feel like you're being wronged, when you feel like justice isn't being served. We've talked about this before, but people who are neurospicy a lot of times tend to find themselves on the progressive side of the aisle. Why? You have a sense of justice, and you want justice, and you want equality because it's important to you. Like, it's part of what is ingrained in you. It's how your brain works. And so it's like it can really fuck you up, especially if you're neurospicy like I am, where you are seeing injustice every fucking day. Every fucking day we're seeing injustice. And it is hard for, like, when you look across and you're like, and you see somebody like, hey, let's tone it down. It's like, I can't tone it down because nobody's toning it down. I get all of that. I don't even know what the solution is. I'm just saying that, like, the reality is this person just said that their candidate, the person they were running against, was human, and it was uncomfortable for everybody. That's not a knock on everybody. That's just the political environment that we live in now, and that's got to change at some point. And I honestly don't think that changes when Trump is around. I don't even know how we could even advocate, like, hey, everybody just be cool while MAGA and Trump still exist. I don't know if you can, but it is the reality that 10 years ago, 12 years ago, this would have gotten applause. Now everybody is so on edge and everybody is so divided that that's kind of an uncomfortable moment.
I think that we can acknowledge that me and my opponent are human beings and that everyone who runs for office should be willing to do that.
I think Caitlin Clark could swing Iowa how she wants it. Yeah, probably.
It's important. All right? Now, I still think that I'm the better choice, and I'll tell you why.
Because I'm going into 8th grade right now. I had great grades in 7th grade and in 6th grade. Casey, I want to say sorry. You are nice. I'm sorry for saying that earlier.
But I'm not going to do it without asking you first to keep in mind that this is a debate between two human beings.
What platform does the left have without Trump? Medicare for all. Ending foreign aid to places like Israel. Investing in education. Making college more affordable by getting rid of money and having states sponsor not only K through 12 education, but also higher education, trade schools. Taxing people appropriately, having a progressive tax policy that puts more money back into our communities, more money that helps people elevate their circumstances. We have a lot of policies. You don't have any. I would love it if we were arguing policies. We can't argue policies because you guys are just sucking Trump's dick. So that's all we ever argue anymore. Like every time I talk to a Republican in here, they're like, "You're a communist." I'm not a communist. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Then we can't talk policy. When I ask you what your policy is, I'll do it now. What is what policy are Republicans running on?
We don't need to demonize people. We don't need
I suggest the Democrat communists repent. Okay, I repent. Now what? Can we have Medicare for all now? I'll be the Democrat communist. Can we have Medicare for all now? I repented. I'm sorry. I want everybody to be able to see a doctor. Should I repent for that?
About them either. Here's something that's important that I also want you to know. You might think that I'm the better choice because I don't want to ban cancer treatments. You asked about the school vouchers program. You might think that I'm the better choice because he wants to expand the school vouchers program and has said that
Is this real? Kelly said slaughtering horses is in Project 2025, page 528. Jen, can you get me that? Is that real?
Desire to put rules around it is political, right? Here's another reason. Let's say that you kind of like both of us and you could go either way. Well, we got a lot of real problems in this state, and you're not going to have a full-time governor out of someone who's a part-time Iowan. It's the truth.
If you don't know, the Republican, his kids don't even go to school in Iowa. He's like a part-time resident.
When I was a prosecutor, when I was prosecuting the Clemmy Town Mart, I didn't just say,
But bullshit. He was a hall monitor. There's no. What do you mean you were a prosecutor? When? This is crazy that this guy's had like a real job.
this guy's a criminal, send him to prison, find him guilty. I gave people the evidence, right? So here's what I'm talking about. He has lived outside of Iowa for most of the last 20 years. He is running a TV ad telling you that he bought Iowa land in 2014. As you well know, you can buy land in a state that you don't live in. After buying land in 2014, he voted in Kansas in 2018 and in 2020 and in 2022. Prior to that, he had been living in Colorado and in Montana.
Okay, well, I guess this is true. The Project 2025 explicitly recommends that Congress pass laws allowing the BLM to Bureau of Land Management to dispose humanely of excess wild horses and burros to reduce government storage costs. The document states that the fast growth of wild horse populations harms fragile public lands and threatens ecosystems. The disposal term, critics and animal welfare groups point out that words like dispose are code for allowing the mass killing or slaughter of federally protected animals. Connection to current events, investigations highlighted by the New York Times revealed that BLM sales of wild horses more than doubled to roughly 3,700 animals. While adopted wild horses keep government protections, horses that are sold lose those protections. Low-cost buyers have purchased wild horses for as little as $25 each and resold them to middlemen who ship them to slaughterhouses in Canada. Dope. Jesus. Recent federal budget proposals echo Project 2025 by cutting funding for wild horse programs and targeting long-standing congressional bans on horse slaughter. Cool, guys. That's a cool party you guys have.
He registered to vote in Iowa in 2024 just in time to say that he was a resident to run for governor. But after he launched his campaign for governor in 2025, his plane spent twice as many nights in Wichita, Kansas, as it did in Belle Plaine, Iowa.
Okay. So the state of Iowa, again, I love the state of Iowa. It's one of my favorite states in the country. We think, and historically, before Trump, it was a kind of a bellwether state. It was a purple state. I think Obama won it both times. Do we really think that the people of Iowa are going to side with the corporatists, with a man who doesn't live in their state, a billionaire who will rubber stamp everything Trump does, which has decimated Iowa farmers and their economies? Or might they take somebody from Iowa who's saying, I'm going to stand up to the federal government and we're going to make sure that our farmers and our agriculture here is protected? I don't see it.
Excuse me, I misspoke.
Don't like it, leave. No, just vote, right? That's the country we live in. You vote. If you don't like something, vote for somebody else. I don't know what to do about that because I'm a cook. I just do what Donald Trump tells me. What do you mean vote? Vote for who he tells you, right?
Half again as many. So 75 nights in Wichita, Kansas to 51 nights in Belle Plaine, Iowa. And he can say what he wants about where he lives. I'm a numbers guy. The numbers are 75 there and 51 here.
Patrick Bet David.
When he was asked about this, the first time he was asked about it, he was a little bit more honest about it. He said, well, if I win, I'll have to change my living situation and I'll be in Iowa as much as humanly possible.
All right. So, outsider? Probably not. Here's Josh Turek. Josh Turek is running for Senate in Iowa. Again, knowing the people of Iowa, campaigning there and living there. This is an Iowa. Both of those. He's reflective. Rob Sand is reflective of the people I dealt with in Iowa. And I think the same thing for Josh Turek.
My name is Josh Turek, and I'm running to be your next United States Senator from Iowa. So a little about me. I'm born and raised in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I grew up in a working class family, in a working class community. In my family, we went to the Goodwill for our clothes. We shared clothes. We went to the free summer lunch programs. And so in a deeply personal way, I understand what so many Iowans are going through right now, just struggling to keep a roof above their head and food on the table. Additionally, I was born with my disability. I was born with a condition called spina bifida. This was due to my father's exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam.
Shout out the government for protecting our service members. We support the troops. You know what? Those of us who say, let's end these foreign wars, That's what you guys said to the people saying, let's not go to Vietnam too. Commies, socialists, traitors, don't like it, leave. We went to a bullshit war. Not only the people that served there, that lost their life, but the people that came back missing limbs, or the people that were exposed to Agent Orange, or their children.
I had my first surgery at 1 day old. I had 21 surgeries before the age of 12. So also in a deeply personal way, I understand the importance of affordable and accessible healthcare, and I believe that healthcare is a human right.
Boom.
Thankfully for me, found wheelchair basketball at a young age with the help of wheelchair basketball and vocational rehabilitation. Was able to get a college education. Had a very successful wheelchair basketball career in college. Scored over 4,000 career points, just barely beating out Caitlin Clark, something I'm quite proud of. And then the highlight of my basketball career was I was able to represent the United States in 4 Paralympic Games and won back-to-back gold medals representing the USA in wheelchair basketball. 4 years ago, I got involved in politics. I was working in healthcare. I was assessing and providing mobility devices for individuals with progressive conditions. Conditions like muscular dystrophy and ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And unfortunately, what we were finding was, since Iowa had privatized its Medicaid system, a 1,000% increase in denial rate. I thought this was fundamentally wrong and unjust. Then I'd found out that Iowa had never had a permanently physically disabled member. And I say that because I want each and every one of you to remember how much important every single one of your votes is. But what I'm more proud of is in 2024, we took that 6-vote margin and we moved it into a 6% margin. And that was 50% more overperformance than any other Democrat in the state. And what that has taught me is right candidate with the right message, and I believe that message is common sense pro-populism and the right work ethic, we can win. And I believe that this is the year that the pendulum is going to swing back and we are going to be able to win this U.S. Senate seat and have a senator that is fighting for the people, not just for the billionaires and the large corporations.
All right. Now, he's going against Ashley Hinson. Ashley Hinson is currently a congresswoman, I think representing, is it Iowa 1st? Might be wrong on that one. I think it's Iowa 1st. And since taking office as a congresswoman, her net worth has increased $7 million. And here she is trying to be one of the people.
I am at the heart of everything, the working mom, and whether it is, refueling the minivan or restocking my fridge for our teenager boys, I know what is facing our families here in Iowa.
I'm getting the text from my kids on the way on the plane out to DC. Mom, can you put some more money in my lunch account? Or, hey, can you do something about the lack of groceries in the house? That's an everyday problem in our house right now.
I get the text. I got a text a little bit ago from my son, hey, Max.
How about, can you pay for it? I'm just like you. While I'm on my plane to DC, my kids go, can we do something about the Can your kids not pick up food? I don't know how old they are. So what did you do? DoorDash it? You can afford that?
They had their last day of school today back home in Iowa. He wants money to go have lunch with his friends. There's not enough money on his thing. I look at the high price.
Yeah, so you put money on it. He wants to go have money with it. How many people in this country can't go have lunch with their friends?
That are hitting our family. They're hitting our family in the same ways they're hitting hardworking families across Iowa.
I am at the heart of everything, the working mom.
Rhetoric. That's why I know people in Iowa are probably jaded, especially progressives in Iowa. You're jaded, but I do think this is that year. Everything is trending in that direction. I don't know what Trump can possibly, and I say Trump because Trump runs the entire country right now. Whatever he says goes. I don't know what in the world Republicans are going to do between now and November to get the people of Iowa to be like, you know what? We're going to give them another shot. I'll tell you who I'm really fucking disappointed in is Mark Cuban. And admittedly, I don't criticize Mark Cuban near as much as other billionaires. I was a Dallas Mavericks fan for years. I liked Mark Cuban. I thought he was the most sensible person on Shark Tank. I thought he often showed more sympathy and compassion than the other folks on Shark Tank. So generally, I've liked him. I like his website that I forget what it's called, but it's like a discount prescription drug website. They do offer a service that I think is useful. My problem with Mark Cuban and all capitalists is their fear of single payer healthcare is irrational. And every time I hear one of them talk about their fear of single-payer healthcare, they don't make a compelling argument. It's only compelling if you're just like, oh, he's rich, he must know. And here's an example. I was surprised here to see him. He was on with
I'll use
shit. What is her name? Oh my God. What's help me with her name? What's Kara Swisher? He's on Kara Swisher. That's her name.
I'll use Medicare for all as an example, because since we're talking healthcare.
He also said last week if he was running for president, he would run as a Republican because he's anti-socialism, which is stupid because like 12 candidates are Democratic socialists. So it's not like the Democrats are suddenly all going to be socialists. Like I'd run as a Republican. It's okay that there's white nationalists there. It's okay that there's fascists there. I'm more comfortable with fascism and white nationalism than I am with socialism.
Like there was that study, I don't know if you saw it, that said Medicare for all would save $1 trillion. Sounds great, right?
Does sound great.
Until you look at the fine print and see all the references that they used, right? So I looked at these numbers to get to $1 trillion, and one of the numbers was $265 billion and it was elimination of fraud. I'm like, $265 billion, that's a big number.
Elon tried it.
Yeah. It's a big number. How do we get there?
I think it cost us money.
It didn't work at all, right?
No, right.
So I go down to the footnotes and I'm like, okay, there's this article that was written in 2003 about Taiwan and their conversion to universal health care. I'm like, okay, so what happened? Well, Taiwan went from a paper system based.
By the way, the elimination of fraud, the reason that they cite that number and the reason they think they can get rid of that number is because they will staff. Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid is the VA severely understaffed. And in order to catch fraud and fix fraud, you have to have staff. You have to have processes in place, but you also have to have people in place to catch fraud. So they're using those projections. Now, projections are projections. Them saying that they can save that is just as realistic as Cuban saying they can't. He's not offering a different solution. He's just like, oh, they said it's fraud. And Elon Musk tried that. No, he didn't. Elon Musk didn't try that at all. Elon Musk hacked into the government and used it for his own personal use so that he could get government contracts. He barely cut shit. And by the way, it's not a good argument that Elon tried and failed, therefore it can't be done. That's not a very good argument.
Basically, and a market-driven system to a transition to universal.
Can we address the toxicity of the Argentinian beef? I'm honestly scared without a proactive FDA anymore. I'm not, I don't trust Argentinian beef. I'm with you.
Universal health care. It was a disaster the first couple of years. But there was this article written that said they saved 8% on waste. So what does the authors of this article?
They extrapolate. They
extrapolate from Taiwan from 1995, a paper-based system, and they applied it to the U.S. budget.
Yeah. I don't even understand this, Chris. Of course you do. If you're going to project how much you can save, you would compare a system that does it in the same way, and you would use their experience and their policies and say they saved 8%. If we use those policies, we can project that we would also save somewhere in the ballpark of 8%. That makes perfect sense. Where else would you pull the data from? This is what pisses me off about Mark Cuban. He's smarter than this. This is everybody arguing against socialism or single pay. Let's just say single payer healthcare. Everybody. It's just these like empty platitudes of, well, they just got the numbers from South Korea. So who cares? If you're copying their system, they saved 8%. Why would you not extrapolate the 8%? Give us an argument as to why we can't extrapolate the 8%.
Right. And so they get, 3 trillion times 8%, and it gets near 265 billion. That is the problem. You've got something that everybody wants. Like if we walked out there and we said it's $1 a month to give health care for each person, $1 a month per person. Everybody like, yeah, let's go. Republicans before it, everybody before it, right?
Yeah. Of course, but like $350 million? We think $350 million a month is going to cover it?
but we're not trying to figure out a solution, right? We don't know what those costs are, a lot of the reasons we talked about earlier, but you can't lie about it.
No.
You have to put together a plan that
right.
gets you from
Yes.
here to there.
Yes.
Another
Yes.
thing that they did.
There is a plan. I don't know what he's reading. Like you can, I can pull this up. I'll pull up Bernie Sanders' plan of how he pays for it.
Was they said if we change the what we pay the best hospitals in the country, right, to Medicare rates, they would make up the losses in revenue by the reduction in administrative costs. That's the biggest bunch of horseshit. If you walk into a really nice hospital, right, it's designed to be a really nice hospital. It's got all the machines that go ping, the really, really expensive stuff, right? And they've got the most expensive doctors. If you start paying doctors in those hospitals Medicare rates.
That's not administrative costs. Like, again, it's frustrating for somebody that I think is an intelligent person to make this argument. That's not the administrative cost. When we talk about reducing administrative costs, we're talking about the cost that a hospital incurs by having to hire and staff people who are dealing with every single insurance provider, and they have to follow up with those insurance providers, and they have to negotiate with those insurance providers, and they often have to go to litigation with those insurance providers, and they have to be aware of each single provider, and they're fighting battles with each single provider. And if you have one single provider of health insurance, you reduce administrative costs. You're not worried about like cash pay because everybody's on the same insurance. You bill one direct source. It's crazy for them to be like, oh, they think they can cut administrative costs, but the machines and the doctors cost a lot of money. Yeah, that's not administrative costs. That's not what an administrative cost is. Where's Kara Swisher on this one? This is why I swear to God, we're not going to get Medicare for all because people are too goddamn dumb. Like, we're too stupid to get Medicare for all. I'm convinced that that's where we're at now. We're just not going to get it because everybody's too stupid. This is incoherent by Mark Cuban, who, by all accounts, is much smarter than I am. He literally, like, he probably understands prescriptions far better than I do. But like this, he's better than this. Our country's better than this. Can we not just can we just have nice things instead of being idiots, or do we have to choose to be idiots?
You know what they're going to do? They're going to opt out. They're not going to be available to anybody on Medicare.
Opt out for what, Mark? For what? What, they're just going to cater to rich people? Are they going to be able to pay their bills just catering to rich people? Opt out to what? Everybody in the country is going to be on the same health insurance plan. Medicare for all, A-L-L, all. That means fucking everybody. Who are they going to opt out for, Mark? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Right? And the hospitals are going to opt out. But in both Bernie's and Representative Jayapal's Medicare for all, right, like in this article, in this study, they just accepted that as fact. There's just no way. And then the creme de la creme.
Accepted what is fact? That yes, they accepted that you will save money on administrative costs. They've done study after study. And this is outdated. I think this number, we saw a study last week that said the administrative costs of the property and casualty insurance companies are like of around 30%. But studies showed that these health insurance providers, that their administrative costs are around 18 to 20%. Medicaid administrative costs are somewhere between like 5 and 10%, depending on the year. Yeah, you're going to save money on administrative costs.
And both of those Medicare for all legislations that were proposed, Section 4, administration. At the discretion of the Secretary of Health and Human Services, they have the option to figure out everything, basically. It's a fucking politically appointed position. How would it be going right now?
Mm-hmm,
right?
Yes. We'd all have measles. Measles for everybody, and then
it'd be
salmonella.
A disaster. And yet they just make it seem like everything is perfect.
I don't know what he's talking about. Honestly, like I don't. Yes, somebody has to be in charge. But the head of Health and Human Services doesn't unilaterally make decisions. The head of Health and Human Services applies the laws that Congress writes. Yeah, he's lost the plot. I don't honestly. I like these are such generic criticisms. Riffing, exactly, Illusion. He is just riffing. This is just two people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, who are afraid of the word socialism.
The Secretary of Health and Human Services, they have the option to figure out everything, basically.
What does that mean, Mark? The Secretary of Health and Human Services can figure out everything. What does that mean? I promise you that's not in. I promise you that's not in here. It's just that the Secretary of Health and Human Services oversees Medicare.
It's a fucking politically appointed position.
Correct. Just like every other administrative organization.
How would it be going right now?
Bad. But everybody would have health care, right? So if we all still had health care, we wouldn't have to listen to fucking RFK. We could just listen to our doctor. We could go see our doctor. What do you mean, how would it be going now? Like, RFK's a quack, but, like, have they really changed any laws? No.
Right?
Yes. We'd all have measles. Measles for everybody, and then
it'd be
salmonella.
a disaster. And
Yeah.
yet they just make it seem like everything is perfect. That in the case of the
I'm going to push back. I don't think anything is perfect. It's like a sentiment of people are tired of what you talked about at the top,
So
right?
fix the problem.
Yeah. Well,
fix the problem. Don't come
we
up
may
and
need
say,
an entirely new system.
I'm just going to point out once again that 0 countries in the world are copying our system. 0. It's dog shit. For-profit health insurance is dog shit, and everybody fucking knows it. Fix the problem. We're trying. The problem is that not enough people have health insurance. The problem is health insurance is too expensive. The problem is you get nickel and dimed. The problem is there's all this money going towards corporate jets, to incentives, to dividends, to administrative costs, to building costs, to trips, to like executive compensation, to stock buybacks. That's the fucking problem. How do you fix that? You make it not for profit. Get rid of the profit. There's 30%. 20% if you want to lowball it. There you go. You save 20%.
Yes, we do.
Which actually Trump gives us an opportunity. If he can't build that ballroom, maybe we do need a ballroom, a smaller one. Maybe we do not need those shiny horses, I can tell you.
But you get the point on all this, right?
Yes, I see your point. All right.
Right. Like, come up with a plan.
No, I don't get your point. I don't get your point. Your argument is South Korea struggled. By the way, for the record, the problem that happened in South Korea, is it South Korea? Now, is it South Korea? Am I mixing up the country now? I can't remember. Let's just say it's South Korea for now, because I looked this up. The problem that they had is that their National Health Institute revenue, so the money they were bringing in for their insurance, or National Health Insurance, grew at 4.43% annually, and their costs grew at 5.33% annually. And from 2002 to 2012, they only adjusted it twice. Now, the legislation allowed them to adjust it every 2 years, and they didn't do that. So they weren't taxing appropriately. That's the problem. That's literally what happened there. They didn't tax appropriately. Taiwan, thank you. I knew I was wrong with South Korea. Taiwan, thank you. What they're also leaving out is that when you look at the studies, yes, they didn't manage it properly with the money because they weren't raising taxes, because it's scary to raise taxes, but there were no long waits. Everybody had access. Patients waited on average 30 minutes or less to see a doctor. And there were no like procedure waiting lists. They didn't have wait lists everywhere. So what we learned from Taiwan, not South Korea, is that universal coverage, it can be expanded really quickly, but you still have to have policymakers who collect the right amount in premiums so that you don't have a system that that isn't funded. And look, my biggest concern with the United States going to single payer is that Republicans will do what they always do. They will take a program that's working and they will cut funding to it, and so it doesn't work anymore. And then they will go, look, see, the government can't do anything right. We need to privatize this. That's what they've done with Medicare. It's what they've done with Medicaid. It's what they do with Social Security. It's what they do with the VA. And even with all the times the conservatives in this country have tried to fuck up those programs, and as fucked up as they have become, they are still preferable. The people on those programs still prefer them over private health insurance. That's honestly my biggest concern. And so when you write this legislation, you're going to have to say, like, you can't underfund this. You have to, like, if you have a year where you underfund it, you have to make it up the next year. Would it include vision and dental? Yes. Bernie Sanders' plan would include vision and dental. So anyways, it was so frustrating to hear Mark Cuban talk like this.
And so we can actually solve these problems instead of throwing out bullshit.
Well, it's bullshit gets thrown because bullshit has been thrown.
You are the bullshit, or you are throwing the bullshit. All right, last thing before we get out of here. You guys asked about this. This is Ryan Goodman. A lot of people have asked about the executive order 14399, I think. All right, 14399. The Supreme Court ruled on this the other day. So the executive order 14399 gives the Department of Homeland Security the ability to create lists of adult U.S. citizens in each state and then send them to states before federal elections to, in quotes, to the extent feasible and consistent with applicable law. States are not expressly required by the order itself to use those lists. The Attorney General is the one that is directed to prioritize investigation and possible prosecution under existing federal law of officials who issue federal ballots to people ineligible to vote. USPS was directed to begin rulemaking on federal ballot mail, including unique barcodes and envelope specifications. The order also contemplated USPS delivering mail ballots only to voters appearing on USPS enrolled lists based on information supplied by states. If you remember, I forget the administrator's name of the USPS, but he testified in front of Congress basically saying, like, yeah, we're going to take the list from the federal government, and those are the only people that we will send ballots to. Now, this was challenged by multiple states in the courts, and they won. They won that this was unconstitutional. The federal government then came back and said, well, let me have our good law explain this. This is Ryan Good. He's a lawyer, and I'll fill in any blanks of where he misses, actually.
Now to our Outfront legal analyst, Ryan Goodman. So, Ryan, you hear
It's not Louis DeJoy anymore. It's a different guy. I forgot his name.
Attorney General from Arizona say, absolutely not. They're not going to hand over those voter rolls. They're going to take this to court right away, that they expect that they will be able to have it move, efficaciously, and that they will get a quick verdict. Do you think that this will actually happen that way? When, the way she lays it out, if 90% of the people in the states are getting mail-in ballots, they don't have a lot of time here.
I think she's right. She's right for a couple of reasons. First, there is still another lower federal court injunction that is against this executive order. And what the Supreme Court did tonight does not touch it. And the USPS on Friday, when they issued their new rule, they said they will only put that new rule into effect if both injunctions are removed. And the Supreme Court only removed one of them. And then second, what the Attorney General has said is completely right. The Supreme Court ruling is not on the merits. It's just about the ripeness. Like, did the states bring their suit too soon? And the entire logic of that is that the USPS had not issued its final rule. Well, on Friday, they issued the rule, and they said it'll be published on Wednesday. That's what she means by they can go immediately to court. And those courts, the lower courts, have reached the merits. It's almost like an easy win in the lower courts because the lower courts have found that on the merits, the executive order can't stand. And what the Supreme Court did tonight was not about the merits.
Okay. Frank, I'll explain that to you. Frank, why don't you know anything? I'll explain it to you, Frank. You call it saying anybody else doesn't know anything is crazy. So the courts basically just ruled that that has to go back to the courts. That's it. There was a lot of people who freaked out about this. Now it's staying the order, and now they have to settle it. And so the Trump administration essentially is going to go out. They're going to continue their preparations. But I do expect the courts to rule on this. I don't think Trump's going to win this. I think that it's pretty clear that ruling is unconstitutional.
Right, and as you point out, not about the merits, not about the legality, but about the timing, and timing really is everything. The Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro just posted, and I quote the governor, "Donald Trump does not run elections here in Pennsylvania or in any state. We'll see the Trump administration in court. In the meantime, I'll keep defending Pennsylvanians' right, to free, fair, and secure elections." So, do you think that Trump loses this in court? And when, if so?
If it's decided on the merits, Trump loses this in court. The lower courts are across the board basically on the same page, and I think the U.S. Supreme Court would be as well. The states are the ones that run our elections and regulate elections. That's not a role for the president. And so this is basically what they're saying, unconstitutional federal interference in states' elections and election processes. That's if they get to the merits. The only wild card is if the Supreme Court were to issue some other kind of proceduralist ruling. But I don't necessarily see that. In fact, I see tonight as a bit of a dodge. They dodge it on the merits, and they only are doing it based on the standing issue in terms of ripeness of bringing the case. And as I mentioned, the other case in which there is still an injunction, that's not even by states, that's by the League of Women Voters, and their interests are people being disenfranchised. Yeah. And that ruling is very strong, not just about the federal role, but it actually says...
I don't feel safe with that presumption. Well, you shouldn't feel safe with that presumption, but that is the presumption. We never know. And this Supreme Court, you never know.
This executive order is going to disenfranchise lots of people.
All right, Ryan Goodman, thank you very much, as always.
All right. That didn't take as long as I thought there, but we'll see. Arizona's a part of this. It's not just, like they said, it's not just blue states, like it's red states as well. This is a massive overreach by the Trump administration, and I don't think that it's going to stand. We'll see. But I'll play this. This will be the last thing we play today. I only played this because I think it's one of the most ridiculous debates I've seen. All of these people suck. Cuomo, Bill O'Reilly, and what's this guy? Leland Vittert. They all suck. And Cuomo and O'Reilly have been going back and forth since last week, when Riley was all up in arms about John Ossoff talking about whatever her name is that works for Trump. And Cuomo was like, dude, like, I get it. Maybe it wasn't a great comment, but like, you won't say shit about Donald Trump. Like, Donald Trump can say all the shit in the world and not a peep from you. And so Leland here, it was fresh off some new Botox. Good for you. Decided to moderate this debate, and we're just going to watch this for fun. And this will be the last thing. Natalie Harp, thank you. This will be the last thing we watch today. But they all suck, for the record. I don't have a side here. I think Cuomo's right, but every one of these losers kind of sucks.
When you categorize me as a MAGA colonel, that's just not true. And whether you want it to be true or not,
I'm a lieutenant.
I'm going to defend myself. But that's between you and me.
You're not a victim.
That's a personal
You're not a victim.
beef.
You're not a victim.
No,
you get an
that's why I'm on here
unparalleled,
today.
unprecedented platform on my show all the time. You're the only person who gets it.
Let's not
but you're not the same with Leland as you are with me. Let me tell you something. If I were you, you would never have me on the way I have you on. If I talk to you the way you talk to me, I would have never been a repeat guy. Roger Ailes would have called me, may he rest in peace, and said, you're never going on again.
You guys are arguing. You guys are arguing over who's going to have who on whose show and how the interviews are being conducted.
No, you're misunderstanding the point. The point is this.
The politicians.
Frank, shut the fuck up. You guys are liars that never define or stand behind anything. We've asked you to come up here and talk to me every day for like 6 months, Frank. And if you don't understand anything anyways, you're just confused. Just relax, bud.
Be what you say you matter. No, you're misunderstanding the point. The point is simple. Be what you say matters, okay? If you're going to take cheap shots and go with people who take cheap shots and smile and laugh along, then you are a cheap shot artist, a gutter snipe, some would say.
So that's Ossoff, right?
I don't think that's who you should be. I don't think Ossoff is a gutter snipe.
Ossoff, right?
And there's no way that Ossoff is a gutter snipe, and the president should tone down. He doesn't need to tone down. Does that sound like the same way of dealing with those two men? Please.
What do you want me to do?
Think
Pull
that's
my
the same as
ears
calling him
when
a
I
gutter
say it?
snipe?
All right, here's the part that I liked. Because, like, every single human being in MAGA is a fucking pussy. Every one of them's a fucking pussy. If you're going to call Ossoff a gutter snipe, you got to be able to call Trump a gutter snipe. It's the same thing. But this guy over here, this Bill O'Reilly guy, he's got an audience. And his audience says you can't say mean things about Donald Trump. So he's not going to be able to say it.
Call him a gutter snipe.
Ossoff's direct assault on a woman that does a good job, Natalie Harp, has put her...
Just can't do it. John Ossoff, call him a gutter snipe. Ossoff is a meanie.
...life into a terrible...
What is a gutter snipe? Somebody who snipes from the gutter. It's kind of like a trashy person who's taking shots as like a... I don't know. How would you explain that? Like unfair shots.
...position. She's got to have security
and telling
now.
a reporter, shut up, Piggy, doesn't hurt her? You don't think those women get threats? He does it all the time, and you say, I don't deal with that.
We're talking... Are we not talking about Natalie Harp or other women?
We're talking about how you treat women in politics and political rhetoric. We're talking about how you should treat women in political rhetoric.
I'm talking about Ossoff attacking Natalie
because you don't want to deal with the other ones.
That was the reason.
That's my point.
I'm not talking about all the exact same things that Trump did and worse. I'm only talking about Ossoff. What don't you understand about this?
I don't have time to deal with the other ones. It's not a telethon.
Oh, I do.
This is the story.
All right, that one's annoying. He's like, I don't have time to deal with it. But credibly accused of, I think, sexual harassment. Brother was removed, and he defended his brother through all his sexual harassment cases. The idea that any of these people give a goddamn about protecting women is silly. But Bill O'Reilly's somehow a bigger coward than Andrew Cuomo.
And you, fine.
Look,
it's your responsibility.
Look, here's the story.
I have no beef.
Here's the story.
I have no beef with you attacking
it's not about
anybody.
Beef. It's not about beef.
If you have the facts to back it up.
It's not about
but
beef.
Calling
it's
me
not
a
about
MAGA
personal.
colonel,
it's not about animus.
That's bull.
Look, you bring their case on a regular basis. You can call me a Democrat, it's okay. You can laugh with the little MAGA crowd who take shots at me that they'd never take to my face. That's
laugh
okay.
At the little MAGA crowd. I don't know the MAGA.
Hey, give it up for Frank, guys. Frank said O'Reilly's looking very old. Frank, you've been here for 6 months chatting every day. And let's all give it up to Frank for getting something right for the first time in 6 months. There we go. I know RTP likes old man. Maybe you should call O'Reilly up. I would. Look, O'Reilly can pay. I know that, Frank. If he wants a blast to the face, he'll pay. He's got money.
The MAGA crowd. Who's the little MAGA crowd?
Oh, you don't?
Who are they?
You don't.
I feel like
follow me
it's a
home?
therapy session or something.
Who's the guy you go on the radio with? How would you describe that guy?
Look, you guys can leave if you want, by the way. This is petty as shit. Like, I just like seeing all these three dipshits arguing. I just needed this.
This big, he looks like a human big toe. Yeah, you're full.
Now we're talking about
here's
some
what
guys
I stuck up for you on that show.
Yo, please.
I stuck up for you.
Let me tell you.
Fellas.
Then let me tell you
I've been
something.
listening
Never
to you now
stick up for
10
anybody
minutes.
ever again. Look, here's all I'm saying.
I can't figure out what
this
you guys
is a
are
win.
arguing about.
I know you can't, but
they don't give a fuck that he's even there. They don't even know he's there. Guys, what are you talking about? They just keep going.
That's okay. People at home will. The thing I'm saying is this. Trump is getting a boost from this. Trump is getting a boost. Trump is getting a boost from this because we're not talking affordability. We're not talking what people are worried about. Which
they're adult men. Leland, he's saying mean things.
Leland, you do a brilliant job on your show all the time.
Neither party will talk affordability.
So this is a win for him. This is a win for him.
Cuomo, neither party talks about affordability. What do you want?
What the fuck are you covering, O'Reilly? What the fuck are you watching?
Price controls. Is that what you want?
Well, that would be addressing affordability, wouldn't it, Bill? Price controls? They never talk about affordability. They talk about price control. Yeah, that would be affordability. You might not like it, but he just answers his own question.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That is
okay, so
no, you have
what's the
Democrats
Democratic plan
talking about what has to change
to inject
all the time.
affordability?
Inject affordability.
Well, you don't inject affordability.
What's the Democratic plan?
What you have removed the tariffs, okay? You have structural changes on how you treat small businesses and create some kind. Yeah, you give big.
It's just repeating like every 13th word. Structural changes. Yes, O'Reilly's head is gone. Whatever he was at his peak, he's nowhere near that anymore.
Isn't that Congress's point? Isn't that Congress's job?
Well, they're running for seats in Congress. That's what the midterms are about, right? The midterms are about Congress, right?
What?
So they're
I don't know what they want to do.
He's telling you, dipshit.
Well, maybe you should ask him and not talk over them when they're trying
The
to.
guy in the middle's name is Leland. You can call him duh. He'll answer to it.
Either side.
Well,
Either side, I
do.
don't know what they want to do.
I do. And by the way, I know what people.
Maybe this job isn't for you then, Bill.
I don't know what anybody wants to do. I have no idea. If only there were some way to figure out what people are running on. If only there was some sort of repository that you could type in, like maybe their name, and it would show you what their platform is. I don't know. How are we ever going to figure it out?
Somebody tell Bill O'Reilly the fucking internet exists, would you? Could somebody explain Google to him?
Right would want to do too if they didn't have to worry about offending the president. They say they want the tariffs off all the time. They say they want to get out of the Middle East all the time, and they want to give some price protection for inputs to small businesses so that they're not getting killed.
All right. That's how we're going to end things today. I'm sorry. I just wanted you guys to see it. All right. Jen, did I miss anything?
No, I think that's all of them.
Well, that was weird. You sounded like you were talking and fast forward. Talk again.
Talking and fast forward.
Oh, all right. Well, I think I got that one. Okay. Oh, thanks, Jen. Okay. Thanks, guys. Sorry I missed you Friday and Monday. It was good to be back. We'll be here every day this week. And on Wednesday, we have a members-only event. I know some of you were gifted over on Twitch some memberships. If you'd like to join us for our members-only event this week, we will be watching 2 more episodes of Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness. It's a good time. You can just hang out in the Discord. It's free to join the Discord, but you do need to be a member to join us for the movie night. You can become a member either on TikTok, Twitch, or YouTube. I think memberships start at like $3. Maybe it's $5. They might have changed it by now. Not really sure, but you can check that out. It also just helps us. If you don't want to join us for movie nights, but you want to be a paid member and help support our show, you can do that again through YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch. On Twitch, if you have an Amazon Prime membership and you're watching on Twitch right now, and you don't use your Amazon Prime for another creator, you can go in right now and you can get a free membership by using your Amazon Prime login that gives you access to all the emotes and our members-only events. And in the future, as we do special events like as midterms come around, we'll have more debates, and those debates likely will be first released to members. So if you want to support us that way, and if you don't care about that, but you have Amazon Prime, go over to Twitch. You can join and use your Amazon Prime and use Jeff Bezos money to pay us. That'd be great for us. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for being overachievers, knocking out the gift goal today. I appreciate it. We'll be back Wednesday through Friday, the rest of this week. I'm looking forward to it. Today was an election show. We'll dig into some deeper stuff later on this week. But until I see you guys tomorrow morning, go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't smoke grass or touch grass, best of luck to you. I don't know what you're going to do. If you can't do either of those things, you want to do some good, perhaps you might think about putting some boots on the ground. Reach down first and find your bootstraps. Pull yourself up by those bootstraps and get ready to put those boots on the ground. But before you do, take a look in the mirror, say something nice to yourself, and drink lots of water. Take the water with you, too. It's hot as shit outside. You got to stay hydrated. It's important. It's good for your skin, your complexion, and it flushes your system. MAGA, it'll give you better boners if you drink more water. So there you go. And you can use that every time you talk about trans people. You can chub up and you'll feel better about that. Other than that, guys, I can't wait to see you tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on Twitch, TikTok, or YouTube, or Facebook, wherever you watch it. And until I see you tomorrow, take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.